Hello? Okay. What about this?
For the actual preview itself, and your sources don't have locks next to them.
It's gonna be working now for sure. Okay, what if I want to do push to talk? Uh-oh. God knows what'll happen if they start streaming. Push. Source. Capture microphone. Oh. Now that'll work. Okay, so how do I poop myself into this situation? Okay. That's okay. This is all testing. Advance. Should have figured this out early, sonny boy. Split recording. Scenes. These birds are gonna fucking kill me. Push to talk. Push to mute. Okay, so this. There you go. There you go. Hello? Why can you still fucking hear me? Okay, hello? What the fuck? Hello? No fucking way it's working. Ah, son of a bitch. It's working. That's what I'm talking about. Keep this shit up, brother. Ah. There we go. That's better, ain't it? That's a lot better. All right, now. Music, please. Hello? Any music people in chat? No fucking way. It's up. There it is. I've said this many times. No fucking way. It's up. There it is. I've said this many times. It's working. It's fucking working. Motherfucker. Motherfucker. Come here, little Ollie. You're gonna make me money, you little bitch. Come here. Oh shit. You're gonna work your little bird ass off. And you're gonna bring me some Benjis, bro. Alright. What else? Music. Do you remember eating my ass in September? Okay, so these will switch just fine. Excellent. This is awesome. This is great. So now we need to connect ourselves to TGG. The Gigi. And how exactly do we do that? Okay. Get off Twitter. Look away from the porn. What are we online on? We're online on YouTube and Kick. Bitch, you didn't even look at your fucking Kick thing. Channel. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Link that Kick. How do we do this? Disconnected? That's my fucking channel, bro. Hello? Oh, brothers. How do I embed the stream? Yeah, if you boom any harder, you're gonna fucking kill. Never mind. Chill. Chill. Type PE. Shut the front door. You can do E to embed to big screen without linking it in chat. Get the fuck out. You're so fucking cool. Oh, you motherfucker. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Thanks, brother. With an A, with a soft A. Hit him. Oh yeah, bitch. Is it working? Stop, you cringe. How do I? There's only one fucking viewer. Of course nobody's gonna see it, but it's gotta be here on the list somewhere. Look for it. Bro, what the heck? Will it only show up on the top if I link it in chat? Question mark? Get the fuck out of town, brother. Put on your fucking music. And stop fucking moaning on a microphone, bro. Hello? Please. I'm not sure how the top 3 work because I have pop-out chat, so it doesn't show up. But Veneer embeds will show up if you have the plugin. Well, oh, thanks, bro. Just put on all. You're not using Twitch chat. You're not using Twitch chat. Just do all of this. Okay, no, that's not gonna work either, brother. Just link your fucking stream, bro. Hello? Are you gonna keep being a puss? PE for embed. What are you gonna do, fucking? There you go. Get him, boys! Get him, boys! Ah! Did it work? Did that work? It did, right? Bring him in! Bring him in! How do I know if it's working? You just have to believe, bro! You just have to believe! Oh, shit! Hell yeah, we're not gonna fucking wait here for Steven to come back and be bored as hell, okay? If I'm gonna hang out with you guys, I'm gonna hang out while I draw on stream. Welcome. Okay, so people can see me. This is wonderful. Is DG... No, it's like a little box. It's like a tiny little box. How do I fix this? Don't worry, guys. I can fix everything. There you go. It's easy. And then set the height to like 800. Set the height to 800, bro. Hello? Oh, that's the chat box behind it. Bro, nobody wants to see the fucking chat box. People want to see DGG chat. That's what's going on. Make that... Yeah, height 800. Make that bitch big, bro. What? That's not big enough. Make it 1,000. Make it bigger. 1,200. Oh, now that's looking saucy and tasty. What about Kick Chat? There's nobody there. Don't fucking worry, bro. Just draw your drawing. What's her face? Karlak? Is that her name? Karlak BG3. There we go. We got this. Oh my god, this is... She doesn't wear this. She's got that sexy little side outfit. There you go. Now we're talking. Paint some red. Let's get the show on the road. Okay, that was from a previous drawing. We don't need this one. Okay, save as. Karlak. And then take everything else that used to be a Kami drawing and delete. I'm the first follower. Hi, Dratayeg. Hi, Dratayeg. What's up? Baze. Listen, I'm also accepting DGG drawing requests. I'm really not. I'm just fucking with you. Unless it's good. If it's a good enough, I'll do it. But it's gotta be really fucking good. It's gotta be a really good request, okay? I'm gonna drive those numbers up. Hello? Thanks for joining! That's about as much thank as you get. Listen, we're just here until Stevie Weeby comes back. And who knows, maybe I'll do some more. I remember I set up different audio channels so that I could watch stuff quietly while the stream is going. The only problem being that I don't think you guys are watching anything fucking fun. It's Forzen with the Minecraft speedruns. And I think that's about it. Right? You guys are watching Forzen. There's a dude who's watching Forzen. And streaming himself watching Forzen. Which I think people are watching. But I don't think you guys are watching anything particularly interesting. There was a conference that Mr. Weavy was in yesterday. Oh, you know what? We can get some more peeps in here. Kyla said that I'm allowed to advertise on her channel. Wait, okay, I didn't share any screens. There we go. How do I... Okay. Not so Kyla. Shameless plugs. Hey folks. Gonna be doing some drawing on Kick. Come hang out if you want. It's gonna be Karlach from BG3. Also, does it say that I'm doing art? I'm not in just chatting, bro. Get the fuck out of town. That's not what I'm doing at all. Listen, there's always technical difficulties whenever I stream, okay? I got affiliate on Twitch, and it was solely off of doing that. We have 2 followers. Zappy and Dratege. Dude, you might want to say these fucking name rights. Draturyag. Draturyag and Zappy. Thank you very much for the follow, guys. I appreciate it. It's a whole new world out here on Kick. I don't know anything about this place, but I have a feeling I'm gonna really enjoy it. Thanks to folks like you. Editor mode. Session info. I'm not in just chatting. How do I switch my... Bitch, don't fuck this up. There you go. Not just chatting. We're doing just art. Just art. Hit him up. Tags? Oh, I can't do tags yet. Okay, it says server error. Listen, that's unimportant, okay? What's important is that I tagged the fucking right thing, and now we can start drawing. Oh, link the fucking stream, numbskull, on the other fucking thing. Link it, link it, link it, link it, link it. Ha 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 ha. Wonderful. Wait, what's this? Is this Animal Crossing music? Yeah. Nah. Nah, not today. Nah, hit me with this one. There you go. Wonderful. Karlach. This motherfucker had straps for fucking days, bro. Hello? Also, we're not... we don't do line art where I come from, okay? Fuck that. She's got what, black hair? Fuck. Oh, she's got black hair with like frosted tips. There you go. Now we're talking. Dude, we still need to touch up her face a little bit, but she's also got the horns too. The problem is that the horns are like practically the same fucking color. Wait, this one's broken. Less work for me, hello? Uh-oh. Hey, buddy. Playing peekaboo? I love you. Alright. Holy shit, he's going to town. That's him just looking at a mirror, by the way. There we go. There we go. Although I'm hoping that nobody gives a fuck if the axe is big enough in game. we could just react really fucking hard. I mean, where are we? We're on we're on Kick and what, YouTube? We could throw some Kick streams in the background and watch while we're drawing. That'll piggyback. You want to piggyback? We'll call it like Cozy Hangout or something. Yeah, that'll be... That's the strat, actually. Okay, where do we... Where do we go? Is there any interesting... Dude, there's no interesting kick streams. That's the fucking problem. I'm not watching Forzen. I would sooner be beaten by an actual rock.
In China, Vietnam, the Philippines.
Okay, Loner Box is also not. Who do we have? I'm not watching Family Guy either. Why are we just doing this? Why is this all that we have? You know what? We probably have some interesting YouTube videos to put in the background. This is your chance. Who was the guy that we were watching? Here, let's do this. Throw that motherfucker up. Browser source. And then we also want... Window Cacher one? Okay, make sure that's the correct one before you go doing shit, bro. Okay, that is absolutely the one that you're fucking using to stream, smart man. Display capture? Window capture. Display capture. Yeah, put that display there. There we go. Shrink that motherfucker. You see? Right there? Wait, cover me! Nobody... Yeah! Oh, bro! This is easy, bro! Hello? Nobody cares if they're seeing me. And then where do we... Actually, put it here in this corner. Block the donators and block the subscribers. There we go. Where... Let's do this. Oh yeah, throw that one on the queue. Throw that one on the queue. Throw that one on the queue. Wait, did you click it? Oh, you stinky fuck. That's fine. If it ever fucking loads.
Something near a window, preferably a booth.
Wait, no, you added it to the playlist, you ignorant fuck. Delete that from the playlist.
Oh, don't do that. That's what they expect you to do.
Well, okay, at least watch it first.
Fine for you, but what about your puppies? And your puppies' puppies? God, am I the only one who's outraged here?
As I
Okay, not the fucking Family Guy. Holy
thought about
shit,
the
bro.
film afterwards.
I want you
even
guys to
when I
understand
wasn't.
how slow my fucking computer is. There you go. We want Doodly. Put him in there. Throw that on. Throw that on. That one. That one. We'll just get through our shopping cart of video essays that I need to watch. What else we need? That's pretty good. Super eye patch. We can watch Tim Rogers. That'll be a doozy. What else do we want to do? Tim? Do we want to do Tim Rogers? We're gonna fucking hate him so much. Tim Rogers, why not? Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. I don't even know I doubted it for a second. There you go. This should cover us for enough hours to... There we go.
If you grew up in the 2000s like me, you grew up witnessing the
watch
rise
it
of
together.
3D animation. Studios that previously made films using costumes and puppets were trying out 3D animation or mixing it with live action. I find this time period kind of fascinating because not only can you visibly see the technology develop over the next 20 to 25 years, but also how some of the visuals and art styles shifted once the new and exciting technologies became standard and expected. But there was that period in the middle where if you heard there was a film coming out that was adapting an animated series or comic, chances are good that it wasn't an animated film, but instead a live action one with a horrifyingly hyper-realistic CGI version of that character alongside real actors. That was just the way it was for a while. Take a beloved animated character and put them in a live action film. It doesn't matter how weird it looked because it was seen as a fresh and exciting update to that character. But over time, that strategy ended up with smaller and smaller returns, and nowadays we're back to making animated films about animated characters that actually look like those characters, for the most part. And what I find fascinating is you can even see this art style shift over time within the same series, moving from realistic appearances to more stylized and faithfully cartoony ones, which is really cool to see. But for a while, it was all live action, and they all looked like this, and it is hilarious to look back on. So I want to talk about a few of those films, and try to understand not just the spark that created this trend, but also how it slowly died out, and that visual shift towards the more faithful and stylized versions of these characters. First, let's back up and provide some context of how we got here. Before the 2000s, 3D animation was usually used to augment practical effects rather than replace them like they do today. The concept of animating a main character in a computer was fascinating, but not yet possible. So, to make a live-action adaptation work, you can't take yourself too seriously or be too realistic, which is why I think it worked in Casper from 1995, which visually still holds up pretty well actually. Out of anything that could have been the first fully 3D animated main character, Casper is a pretty good pick, given that a floating, transparent 3D ghost is by far the easiest thing you could integrate with live action. You don't have to align them with the environment of the scene, cast them in shadow or lighting, have them interact with objects or characters too closely. It's pretty clever. But I think what deserves more credit in retrospect is that they made an effort to retain a lot of the cartooniness and 2D style. This sort of thing is not as easy as it looks, especially back in the 90s, but it's worth it because it justified why the film exists in the first place. You can have super fun interactions and cartoon logic with live action characters, which previously was never possible. Doing all of that the first time this was ever tried is pretty impressive, and in a more ideal world would have set a precedent. Don't make them too realistic or else it just doesn't work. Unfortunately, not long after this was Rocky and Bullwinkle from 2000, which maintained the cartoony style of the original but ended up tanking at the box office. And combined with 3D animation getting more and more realistic and raising audiences' expectations, I can imagine executives saw that film tank and said, "We have to make this dog as realistic as possible." Scooby-Doo 2002 is more or less the start of this trend. I know a lot of people watching this will be very nostalgic for this depiction of Scooby-Doo, and up front, I'll say that this looks way better than some of the other characters we're going to be looking at, but set aside your nostalgia for this film and ask yourself, should he have these gigantic realistic irises? Should he have kept this big snout, but with realistic fur and teeth? I think a lot of films in this decade fall into this trap of going half in on realism and stylization, which I don't think looks very good. There's this piece of concept art from the film, and yeah, I can see why they didn't go with the cartoony one.
Nice.
But originally the film had a more adult self-parody tone and a PG-13 rating in development, and I actually think that this version would fit that pretty well. I don't think the final Scooby looks bad at all. The film actually has some solid practical effects and it fits pretty well into. But now, 20 years later, we have an actual animated Scooby, and I don't think our nostalgia can hide how much better this Scooby looks. The animated film has its own flaws. There's a corporate stink that plays it extremely safe, but its animation is pretty stellar, and they absolutely nailed how Scooby looks in that film. In those 2 decades, I feel like we learned how to depict cartoon characters with fur and details in a much more appealing and subtle way, and it does a pretty excellent job transferring a lot of what makes him iconic into 3D. Obviously, I don't think if you took Scooby from the animated film and put him in the live-action film, it would work perfectly. There's an art direction and aesthetic to the live-action film that Scooby does fit into. When it works well. I just find it kind of fascinating to compare the two side by side. So, after Scooby-Doo, it can only get better, right? I may not think Scooby aged that great, but surely what comes after looks better and better, right? Right? Garfield's 2004 film is a fever dream. Look at this poster. Just look at it. They made his face longer than it is in the film, so it's closer to the comic, but it just ends up looking bizarre. Whenever I stare at it too long, I can feel my madness meter rising, and I'll get a status effect if I don't close my eyes. Gustav. Technological limitations aside, I can't even begin to wrap my head around how badly it's aged in the near 20 years since its release. His eyes are so big, they're constantly bloodshot and pink, so you have these giant pink bloodshot eyes with gigantic irises that just stare into your soul at all times. And then in every other way, from the head down, he's just a realistic fat orange cat. Why? Again, it's this halfway between stylization and realism that just ends up looking kind of weird and creepy. His fur also has this fake quality to it that kind of looks more like a carpet and less like cat fur. It never quite catches the light correctly, so he's always sort of pasted onto the background like a sticker. I can't really super blame them for this. 2004 was fairly early in the fur simulation game, but it's still their choice to make his fur really dense and fluffy. Other films at the time, because fur simulation wasn't quite there yet, they chose to have their fur more subtle and shorter, which I think looks better in comparison. Also, his silhouette in this film doesn't really end up looking like Garfield. Like, he's a fat cat, but he has thin limbs, and fluffy fur would hide all that, so it ends up messing with his silhouette. Compared to Scooby, Garfield actually has a lot of 3D appearances in the same amount of time, and I think a lot of them look pretty good. I'm slightly biased, but I think his depiction in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl probably looks the best. It captures a lot of the original comics expressions and personality in 3D that I think most other depictions lack. There is a 3D animated Garfield film that will be released in 2024, and there is a teaser image, but I actually don't really like how this looks. The fur details look way better in comparison to the 2004 film, particularly these little stripes, but there's some subtle character design changes that don't sit super well with me. He's a bit too stout and his face is a little too big. I think if I wanted to see a 3D animated film Garfield, it'd be the fur of this design but on the Nick Brawl model. I guess we'll have to see when it comes out. It'll probably look better in motion. Okay, that was 2004. Let's enter a new decade. 2011, baby. What have we got in store for us now? Okay, so around this point was when I remember hearing a lot of people starting to get really annoyed by the style of animation. CG was getting really good at this point, so computer-generated characters integrate into real environments super well. Compared to Garfield, I have zero complaints about how characters fit into the scene. They look good. The only thing that still needed to catch up was art style. And my god, do the Smurfs look horrible. I don't think you could get a charming shot out of this film if you tried. Something about the hyper-realistic eyes and cheeky mouths just feels so wrong. They have wrinkles and crow's feet and pores in their skin, and I just hate looking at them. They don't look horrible at a distance, but anytime the camera cuts in close, I just physically recoil in fear, like I'm a prey animal trapped in the corner by a terrifying predator. This film has the same director as 2002's Scooby-Doo, and I think it lends just a little bit of weight to how I feel about Scooby in that film. If Scooby-Doo had come out later and taken in some of the technological improvements this film takes advantage of, I don't think people would be nearly as nostalgic for 2002's Scooby-Doo as they are now. The lesser amount of detail Scooby has in that film due to the more limited technology was a blessing in disguise compared to the Smurfs, because the detail in this film ends up being a huge detriment. But what's interesting about the Smurfs is that after a sequel in 2014, they rebooted it into an entirely 3D animated film, and it actually looks
It's like a
really,
leather
really
knee
good.
guard?
The
that,
original
like, pokes
Smurfs
out?
comics are by Belgian comics artist Peyo, and I absolutely love Franco-Belgian comic art. There's sort of an art style associated with them that's pretty easily identifiable. So even though I have zero attachment to the Smurfs as a franchise, any Franco-Belgian comic art style captures my heart like nothing else. They're all just super charming. So a film that captures that, but in 3D, and does it well, is a huge win in my book, and I think they pulled it off. But that also means you have a direct comparison between art styles not far from each other timeline-wise, and I find that super fascinating. In 2014, you got hyper-realistic, horrifyingly hideous Smurfs out here looking like my worst nightmare, and then not even 3 years later, in 2017, you have this super lovely art style that captures everything I would have wanted out of a 3D adaptation of a Franco-Belgian comic. It's kind of mind-blowing comparing the two side by side, and
There
it
we
shows that a
go.
lot of this nowadays
Dude,
isn't a matter
why
of
did she have so many
technology, but a
fucking
matter of art
bells?
direction. We have all the
Bro,
technology
hello?
we need to execute any art direction we want. We just need to do it. And
Okay,
going
we
the
want
hyper-realistic
some
route was
titty
very much
covers.
not it. Thankfully, over time, this trend began to fade away. More films embrace stylized animation and character design, creating a much more charming look to their characters. Obviously, it's still done every now and then, but at least in more recent cases
There
like
you
Sonic the
go.
Hedgehog, people are pretty loud and clear that nobody wants characters looking like this. I don't think live action adaptations of animation are off the table entirely, but with some recent successes like Barbie and One Piece, as well as 20 plus years of hindsight from bad live action adaptations, they seem to work best when they're self-aware and embrace what makes the original work. As we enter a new decade,
This is all
for
just
3D
fucking
animation, I
bells.
feel like
How
it's
does
important to keep this in mind.
Who comes up
Prioritize
with
art
this
direction,
shit, bro?
not realism. We've recently entered an era where 3D animation is highly experimental, and I think that's because we tried realism and we found it didn't work. And it just looks even sillier when companies keep trying to make it work and don't learn anything. So, in some ways, I hope this video is a reminder to respect and champion art direction over realism. to
Okay, so
appreciate what we
everything
have
here
and to
is Belt
experiment.
City.
That's all.
It's like Belt
Remember
Nation.
to do all the usual
And then we
YouTube
need
stuff.
to add the
Check out my Patreon for
ridges of
behind
the
scenes on all my videos,
muscles.
And thanks for watching.
But it's all Belt, bro.
Goodbye.
It's all Belt. I remember when Tetsuya Nomura was the unnecessary. Because if you played Final Fantasy X, and if you've seen Lulu, you know what it's like to have a character who has an entire like dress, entirely comprised of belts. At which point, fuck, I don't know, just wear a fucking giant belt. And I thought that was mostly like a Japanese thing, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't
think
know
so
what I
by the looks of
expected.
it.
Thank you for 100K.
Nah,
It's
you know
a
what
little
we
bit
want?
more than that now, but
Ah,
I have
just
no
leave
idea
it
how
on,
this
bro.
happened.
Just leave it
So
on.
forgive me for being a little late with this one.
Yeah,
As is
I
tradition
forgive
on
you, no
YouTube,
worries.
I wanted to do a Q&A because I figured it'd be fun to animate the answers, and so I can answer some frequently asked questions. Here to help me
I
is
don't know
Kimberly.
how the fuck
Hello.
is it.
I figured she could be here
Oh,
to
that's
help
his
me read
3D
out the
model.
questions. So without further ado,
So what was your first?
I don't want to animate a bunch of lip sync, so thank you.
So what was your
That's
first
pretty cute.
animation?
I've been animating since I was a baby, so I don't think I have access to my actual first animation, but I remember drawing frames in Microsoft Paint and then putting them together in Windows Movie Maker, which in retrospect is a hilariously intense way of doing things. But this sent me down an extremely stupid rabbit hole where I wanted to dig up the earliest animation of mine that I could find, and I managed to dig up, of all things, my Neopets profile from when I was a kid, and I found this. Very epic. I'll post the rest of the old stuff I found over on Patreon.
Are you going to do more short films?
Sure. All the short films on my channel are from college, and it's a little easier to make them when you have the structure and expectations. of
Dude,
college
is
kids.
this guy a
When you
Sheridan
do it
student?
yourself,
I
the
would
only
not
person
be
keeping
fucking-
yourself in check is you. So it's easy to get impatient or frustrated
Is
with
it?
how long something is taking. But I really love making them, so I'll definitely do more someday, especially now that there's more of a guaranteed audience for it. Also, something like Maplewood was basically my first big 3D project, so I'd love to make another 3D short film using everything I've learned since making this one.
3D artist.
At what point in your journey
I
to become a 3D
wonder, bro,
animation
I-
artist did those really tough concepts just click?
Honestly, whenever I started rigging my own characters from scratch, 3D started to click for me, which was right about when I started working on Maplewood. Learning how to rig from the ground up teaches you a lot about how a computer thinks and makes everything feel more like a puzzle you're trying to solve and less like a magic box you're pulling animation out of. Doing a video on rigging is very high on my list for pretty much exactly this reason, because my hope is to make a video about rigging that helps it click in the same way it did for me so many years ago.
There we go.
Do you plan on making more commentary videos,
Yeah,
analyzing animated films or directors?
Booty.
Analyzing
There we
animated
go.
films was actually meant to be the whole point of this channel before I got sidetracked teaching animation, so I definitely want to come back to it. But to make more analysis videos like the Henry Selick one, it kind of has to be the right subject, because I don't want to make videos where I just say, this movie's really good for 10 minutes. If you're watching a video about a movie you like,
There's no way
I
I
don't
can draw
need
those
to tell
belts.
you how good the
Fuck
movie
that,
is.
we'll just
You
paint
clicked
it
on the
in,
video
bro.
because you like the movie.
What
So I
about
want to
the
teach you
wrist
something
piece,
new
though?
about why it's good. And that part sometimes takes a little bit more time to figure out.
If you hit 1 million subscribers, what would you do?
A lot of things. I could probably hire people to help with the channel at that point, but I'm careful not to let the soul of the channel disappear by bringing on too much additional help. My hope is to always do the big tutorials by myself and just get help with the analysis videos and maybe Kimberly's animation. But honestly, if I had the chance and 1 million subscribers let me do this, I'd do what Toby Fox does and just do my own thing with the channel, but use my earnings to pay other people to make really cool stuff in the meantime. I have this belief that
What?
if you just
Toby
pay an
Fox
artist
does
rent
that?
for a year, you can get something really beautiful out of it.
Bro,
And I
if
wanna
they,
be that.
if they
Would you
paid my
consider
rent for a
making more
fucking
characters to join
year,
the cast in the
are you
future?
serious?
Yes, but Kimberly V2 comes out first.
How do you feel about the current state of animation online?
Considering TV animation is going through a huge meltdown right now, I'd actually say there's no better
Yeah.
time to get into internet animation. I'd say things are going pretty well right now, considering how many independently animated shows are doing well. And I feel like it's only going to get better as long as TV and film executives refuse to greenlight anything that isn't a reboot. They're creating a hole in the market that's being filled in by independent animation. Ages ago, you had to send a VHS by mail into a TV network or a film festival for a chance they might be interested in what you made. But now you can just upload it. Nothing's stopping you. You can just download a program like Blender and start today. It's seriously the best time for independent animation ever.
Soft body physics on a baguette.
Don't say I ever did nothing for you guys.
Did you have any YouTube
Okay, that was
experience
pretty
before
cute.
starting this channel?
I do have one video that has over 3.3 million views where I put SpongeBob music over that useless Juicero juicer, and I just did that as a joke and I didn't really follow it up with anything. But other than that, no, this is my first go at it.
What's the most fun you've had on an animation project?
Probably Rhythm Heaven Reanimated. I did 3 scenes for it: Munchie Monk, Love Rap, and Bonadori. And then we followed it up with Karate Man Reanimated. Short animations like these are super fun because they force a lot of creative decisions and problem solving out of me that I wasn't expecting. Sometimes I even kind of wish I did a 4th entry, honestly.
Hey, you're the guy that posted like 8 different entries to the Rhythm Heaven Reanimated project, right?
No.
What's the best way for someone with no experience to start 3D modeling and animating? I.e., best
Ooh.
software, tutorials, etc.
Blender. Easy.
I want to
And
make an
donut.
actual video about this, but
Blender
if
and
you're in the
donut.
United States, the best way to learn, and the way I
Blender
learned
and
all my
donut.
3D stuff, is by lynda.com, and you can use it
What?
for free through your library. Quick disclaimer,
shit.
it's called LinkedIn Learning now because
Yeah.
Microsoft bought it and renamed it, but don't let that fool you. It's normally a paid service, but in the US, your library probably already pays for it. All you need is a library card. You can learn 3D animation, Blender, Maya, all sorts of stuff, and support your local library doing it.
But you
The easiest
can't
way to
get
get
Maya
started with
unless you
that
subscribe
is
to
to
Maya.
Google
And
your
if you're on a
city's
fucking
library
budget,
plus
then
lynda.com.
good fucking
It's
luck,
seriously
brother.
how I learned almost everything I did when I was starting out, and libraries want you to use it because it keeps their funding from getting cut, and libraries are super cool. Besides that, if you're outside the US, just do the donut.
Do you suggest Maya or
I told
Blender for
you.
new users?
Blender. But pretty much all 3D programs are the same underneath the hood, it's just the workflow that's different.
How do you organize your projects? And how do you wrap up projects?
So after I finished my
don't.
thesis film, I wrote an article about the process of making that film that goes into way
Oh,
more depth on
that would be a
organization
fun
and thought
fucking
structure than I
read,
can do
brother.
here.
That'd be
And
fucking
I'm still
awesome.
pretty proud of how I organize everything for that film. The link for that will be in the description. But for Doodly, it's actually a lot simpler than that. But at the same time, it's a little different from most people because of how I make my videos. I can't really explain only pre and post production without explaining the rest.
I wonder
So
if you
I'll
can
quickly go
do
over each step
compositing
that goes
and
into
all
making
the
a
stuff that you need to do in
Project starts by
Adobe
giving it a
um,
3-letter code. For example, this
After
video's
Effects
code is
or
Q&A.
Premiere on Clip
This shortens your
Studio.
file name
I've
and doesn't
seen
tie the project to a
full
video title that
ass
might change.
movies, and I think they're done
Create a
mostly
short
in Clip
list of
Studio.
goals, ideas, and examples, which I track all
Maybe
in
this is the
Notion.
time.
Write out a script that hits all the beats I wanted for my notes.
There you
Read
go.
out the voiceover in my bedroom because the acoustics are really good in there. Cut up the voiceover, taking out pauses and bad line reads. And I try not to mix 2 takes together because I tend to go crazy keeping track of which take is which. Start with an Adobe Premiere project template that has all the graphics I need, including the window, music credits, checker background, placeholder Doodly and Gibberly, and all of JFoo's music. This little window graphic is set up so that I can just drop a clip in by replacement, and then I just change the credits. And these Doodly and Gimberly placeholders exist so that I can place them while I'm editing, and then they get removed after I animate the video. After the whole video is edited, it enters a picture lock where I don't shift anything around, so nothing gets desynced later. So this is pretty much the final edit. Add a time code and export the whole thing as a JPEG sequence so I can load it into Maya. Export the voiceover and load that into Maya,
Oh,
and link it up to
fuck
Doodly's
yeah.
mouth so his lip sync is automatically generated. Animate the whole thing. Fun fact, whenever Doodly and Gimberly aren't on screen, I just move them out of the way. Once the animation is done, render everything on a transparent background, bring that animation into Premiere, take out my placeholder Doodly and Gimberly, and bada bing bada boom, video done. There's not a whole lot of post-production involved, because when the video hits that picture lock in editing, it's pretty much done, I just need to animate it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird way to make videos, editing the whole video and then doing my
That is an
animation, but it
unbelievably
works well
fucking
for me.
weird way to make
By
videos,
the way,
but that
I do all
is
of this
the
alongside working a full-time job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So if videos take a little while to come out, shut up.
nice. Nice. That is a really weird fucking pipeline. I got laid off last week. I literally animated
What's your
something.
process when modeling a character?
Nice.
Do you plan out the design beforehand and then start modeling? Or
Fuck
do you make the
no.
character as you're modeling?
as your
Always
model.
start with a turnaround, where you
Nope.
draw the character from the front and side.
I'm just joking,
You
by
draw
the
it
way. I don't know
yourself,
how many
or you
viewers
can
I have. It's
commission
probably
someone
not a
else to
lot,
draw
but
it,
please
but it helps
plan
keep your character
everything
looking
before you
natural when have
design.
something to reference as you model.
True, and
Are you a
base.
Pokemon card collector? If so, which card in your collection is your favorite?
I don't, but I'll use this as an excuse to mention that I collect Magic the Gathering cards. My favorite card in my own collection is probably Tamio the Moon Sage, but my actual favorite card of all time is probably Fling. It literally lets you throw a creature at your opponent's face. I love it.
Where did the name Doodly come from?
Street Fighter. Basically, I main Dudley in Street Fighter 4, and I liked calling him Doodly, and then that was my username online for a long, long time. There's even an old Minecraft skin for Dudley under the name Doodly. Look, that's me, 12 years ago. Around 2018, I started going by my real name online because it was good for freelance work, but when I decided to start this YouTube channel, I was worried people would forget how to spell my name when they wanted to find me later. So I figured Doodly would fit really well as
Based.
a name because
Actually
he looks like a doodle,
based.
even though the origin of that name
Okay,
is a British
if
boxer from Street Fighter.
If
I
Kimberly could
wonder
ever
if
talk,
not
what would
having
be
my
your
actual
ideal
name
voice for her?
on Twitter is fucking up my freelance stuff. Probably not, because I send my portfolio. Yeah, no, I send my. It's fucking
In
fine.
all seriousness, though,
Yeah, I'm
Doodly's
shitting my
currently
pants
voiced
for
by
no
my
reason.
fiance Melanie.
Hi.
She's not a professional voice actor or anything, but I feel like her voice fits Kimberly pretty well. That said, if I had to choose a voice actor for her, I think she should have sort of a sporty voice. Christina V fits that pretty well,
But in the name of Mars, I'll chastise you.
but she can do basically any voice on the planet.
What the fuck? That sounded like the voice of Etna from. Oh,
Unless he dies.
What pushed you to make a channel based around 3D animation, both for teaching and appreciating it?
fuck yes.
So
That's
it's kind of a
excellent
combination
question.
of a few things. One was that I was frankly kind of
Frustration,
frustrated with how
Yes!
people taught animation online. and I
Yes,
felt
brother.
Like part of that was because people didn't know how it was made. Not that you need to know the nitty gritty of how something is made in order
No,
to
but
appreciate
yeah.
it, but maybe if you at least knew the basic fundamentals,
Maybe
you
even
could understand what
Yep.
specifically you liked or disliked about
Yes!
animation and be able to discuss
Preach!
it in a more constructive way.
Preach,
Two is
brother.
that I
That's
also
what I'm
felt like
talking
everyone
about.
making tutorials online always tied it to a specific program like Blender or Flash when they didn't always need to. Those tutorials are still very valuable and should exist, but 90% of art and animation isn't tied to a specific program. So I wondered if I could get people in the door first by teaching them the fundamentals without tying it to a specific program. 3 is that I've always been really intrigued by videos that can teach you something you would never be interested in otherwise, and how hyper-specific those topics can get. Speedrun history videos, for example, or HBomber Guy's Pathologic video, it made me realize that the power of storytelling is so strong that you can teach people basically anything if you make it entertaining. And when combined with a platform that just throws recommended videos at you, I suddenly felt like I was able to teach people who love animation but aren't animators how the animation they love was made.
I think that's how I actually
Is
found this
animation
channel.
hard?
Animation's as hard as you want it to be. It's just one frame after another. You choose how many frames you want to make. And
Actually
how complex
true.
or
Ah,
simple
you know
those
what?
frames are.
True.
It can
Yeah,
be a difficult, time-consuming process, but only if you want it to be. And if you mainly just want to tell a story, do an animatic instead. You only have to draw the frames necessary to tell the story you're burning to tell, without a ton of time spent on animation. Or if you're more of an illustrator, animate a motion comic and focus on art quality and framing.
This is
Animation is
also
a
true.
vast medium that molds itself to whatever you want out of it. It's good to be ambitious, but don't let it stop you entirely. The most important thing here is to just start making stuff. Think smaller, and then start smaller than that. The big, ambitious projects can come another day when you're more experienced. Anyone can cook. It's up to you to start. Okay, that's all the questions I wanted to answer, but if you have any other burning questions that weren't covered in this video, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer any questions I can after this video is released. But I do have one more thing to do as a way of saying thanks for everything. I hope you enjoy. Hi, it's me, Doodly. I think face reveals are a little silly,
Oh my
so
God,
I
that's
didn't
what he
want
looks
to
like.
advertise it, but I wanted to put my face out there because it's been available on my website the whole time, and because I accidentally revealed it on stream unboxing my plaque. Look, there's my plaque, and my cringe anime figures. If you can identify any of those anime figures, feel free to make fun of me in the comments. Anyways, I just wanted to do it this way as David, because I wanted to show how much it means to me that people care this much about what I do. The amount of people that have commented and told me that they're learning 3D, learning animation, and being filled with confidence to make stuff, all because of something I created, is something I've never experienced before in my life. I am obsessed with animation, and I felt like there's always been this huge hole with how it's been discussed online. Like people were forgetting that humans make animation. And when you watch something animated, someone's trying to communicate with you in a way that no other medium can. And I always felt like that if I show what goes into making animation, that people learn how those animators are communicating with you and come to understand and respect it more. And the discourse about animation online improves. And my greatest hope is that people like you watching this video right now aren't afraid of animation or 3D or whatever after watching my videos, even if you have never animated in your life and you never plan to, because it means that more people respect animation and the people behind it, and more people are excited to talk about it. My videos are made for the type of person that loves anime, loves cartoons or movies or whatever.
Perfect. That
and
is
wants to know how
that's
they're
me,
made,
bro.
even if they never plan to animate. So
That's
if
me.
my videos in any way helped you get over that barrier to make
It's my
animation
full-time
or
job
appreciate
now. Fuck
animation,
yeah.
then that's literally all I could hope for. And that's why I'm here. So just to say thank you. Thank you for 100K. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for all the support you guys have given me over
Okay,
this
well,
past
I
half
think
a
she
year
has a
at this
longer
point.
neck.
I
Dude,
have,
she's got a
a
bunch of
million other
fucking
things I wanna
details on
do,
her shoulder,
and,
bro.
I'm excited to
Oh,
show
you
you all
flipped
the
her,
things
you
I have
fuck-
planned.
No
So,
fucking
thank you.
way. Oh, you stupid fuck. You had her flipped the whole time. No, we need to select all of this. Yeah, apply. Just apply.
Have you ever wondered why
that
choppy
sucker.
animation sometimes feels
No.
better? Some of you
No,
out there are going to
There we
immediately
go.
disagree, but think of it this way. Animation is not as simple as the frame rate of a video game. Your average video game is usually between 24 frames a second and 60 frames a second, but games will usually try to keep it consistent. If the game is optimized,
We've
it's always
already
going to
seen
try and
this
be
one.
24 FPS, 30 FPS, 60 FPS, whatever. It stays a consistent, solid number of frames per second. But animation changes frame rate all the time without you noticing. On average, animation tends to be at a maximum of 24 frames a second, but it's rare for animation to even be at 24 frames a second the whole time. Usually it'll be half
Oh
of that
god, yeah,
at
because
12
you're
frames
working
a
with
second,
that
and you can
giant
drop down
file.
to
It's gonna
8
take
FPS or even 6
50,000
FPS.
years for it to
This is
load.
referred to
Oh,
as
there we go.
animating
Never
on
mind,
ones,
we're good.
twos, threes, and fours, which is referring to how many frames the drawing is held for. Take a look at this scene from Cowboy Bebop.
Attaboy.
Nobody would call a fight like this choppy, but while most
Except
of the fight is at
NNN.
2s or 12
Ha,
frames
fuck
a second,
that,
there are
dumbass.
moments where the animation is at a mere 8 frames a second or on 3s.
Okay, now we start.
Here's 2 frames from that
Dude, this is
fight.
gonna come down
Look
to
at how
mostly
huge the
painting.
jump is
I don't know if I'm ready to do
These
this.
two
but we
drawings
do
are
it
held on
anyways.
3s at 8 frames a second. You can see it in the background. which is
It's
still
more
moving at
leathery,
24
her
frames a
stuff.
second.
Not
Holding
as
these drawings
dark.
for just
There
a
you
frame
go.
longer on 3s makes them more impactful and more readable compared to the rest of the shot, which is animated on 2s. The huge jump between these 2 frames wasn't an accident, and neither is the fact that they're held on for just a frame longer than every other frame. It's to make sure you feel those frames in the moment and feel what
There we
happens
go,
between those
look
2
at
frames. When it
Is
comes
this
to
a separate layer?
animation,
Yes,
it's often
it
more
is.
important what
There we
happens
go.
between frames more so than what's happening in a single frame. Because all that matters is how the animation feels as a whole, not what it looks like frame by frame. And sometimes what makes the
What is
animation
Tony
feel better is
K
holding
up
on certain
to?
frames.
Reading
Think
a
about it
book
this
per
way.
day? Get
Imagine
the
an
fuck
arrow
outta
hitting a
town.
bullseye. How many frames do you think that takes? 3 frames? 2? What about
You guys don't get
0?
to see that. I
Nothing's
get
there,
to see
and
that.
then it suddenly appears, with the tail vibrating in place.
Wait, is he
To me,
reading a book? in
This feels
chat?
far more impactful than animating the frames in between. Because at the end of the day, animation itself is an illusion. Nothing is actually moving, it's your brain inserting the movement between those 2 frames. So the lack of anything between those 2 frames results in a far greater impact, with your brain filling in all emotion. Now, this isn't some hard and fast rule. American animation tends to animate fast movements on ones, using smears and multiples for cartoony effect, while Japanese animation will focus more on the after effects of the action, putting emphasis on what's not there in a single frame, or what comes after.
Just please.
Both styles can
What
be
are,
executed
what are they
well,
freaking out
but
about?
what you prefer is ultimately up to you. Personally, I find the quote-unquote choppy animation far more satisfying, and I think when it's done well, people prefer it that way. I know I literally just said that what you prefer is up to you, but hear me out for a second. Before the 2000s, animation made for TV limited the amount of frames drawn as an economical decision. Studios only have so much time, labor, and materials for hundreds of hours of animation, so every frame mattered, and they emphasized the impact of an action over the action itself. That's why you get these flashes of white in Dragon Ball Z. Having them there for just a frame makes the impact feel way tougher. But over time, those economical decisions shifted as new technology made animation more convenient. After the 2000s, TV animation slowly began to focus on a 2D puppet animation, or what a lot of people would know as flash animation, where all those in-between frames ended up being filled in by interpolation, and animation was often at a full 24 frames a second. But 2D puppet animation can be executed just as well as the more limited, choppier animation of the 90s. And using interpolation to your advantage and having every frame animated can be just as strong as a stylistic choice as hand animating on 2s and 3s. Obviously, I'm a fan of the style, hence why Doodly is animated this way. But what fascinates me is the recent trend we've been seeing that mixes the two together. Digital animation that can interpolate, but animators choose to limit the animation to 2s and 3s for that impact we were talking about earlier. And I think this style is fantastic. In my opinion, if you were wondering why the frame rate drops in Puss in Boots 2 look so good, this is why. And it works so unbelievably well that I think this is just where digital animation in general is going. And I kind of love it. When I said earlier that people
Fuck 'em
prefer it
up.
this way, it's that I think people want to see an artist's decisions like this. When an animator is holding on a frame like this, they want you to feel it. You don't get that from fully
There we
interpolated
go.
digital animation. And that decision making, deliberately choosing what frames to
There
hold on
we
and for how
go.
long, is exactly the kind of reasons why people love classic 2D animation.
You look
it
cute.
gives animation
Aw,
a soul. A
you
lot of
think
people
so?
criticize flash animation for being hollow and too digital.
I'm not even wearing
and
my
while I
signature
think
headband,
flash animation
thanks. You're
can be
making me
done well, like
blush.
I've mentioned before, I've always
Thanks,
seen people
Reinhardt
praise
from
good
Hit
flash
Overwatch
animation
game.
when they limit the frame rate like this, because they want to feel the artist behind it, not the computer. And the thing is, doing it this way is actually harder
we
than
go.
fully interpolated 24 frames a second animation, especially in 3D. In an article for Polygon, the director of The Bad Guys
Thanks,
actually
buddy.
described it as fighting the computer, which is a pretty good way to describe it. Animators and artists
If you like
are
what you
literally
see, hit
fighting
me with a
against what the computer gives them
hit
to
me with a
have them
follow. Make sure to
adjust it.
ding that
Nobody's
bell
cutting
for
corners or doing it this
notifications,
way because
brother.
It's cheaper. It requires far more artistic input and decision making. Most of all, it
Stop making me
requires confidence,
blush. I have
and
a
think that
girlfriend.
should
What's
be
the matter with
celebrated.
you?
It's risky and difficult and experimental, yet confident that it works anyways. Maybe it doesn't work for you, and that's okay, that's what an experiment is for. But 3D animation is still a fairly young medium that really only started 25 years ago.
Dude, I'm not
so
gonna
we're
be
still
able to
figuring
paint
it out.
all these
I've gone
piercings.
most of this video
How about we
without
just switch to
mentioning
Princess
Spider-Verse,
Peach?
and
I have a
I've been
Princess
feeling
Peach
excited
drawing
in
that
my
I'm
seat
working
waiting
on.
for it to get mentioned.
It's hella
But
cool,
yeah,
and let me
it
tell
really
you,
can't be understated
she
how
isn't designed like a
revolutionary Spider-Verse was for
goddamn
3D animation. I know it can feel like studios are doing what Spider-Verse did because it's
intricate
trendy,
little
but I don't
detailed
think that's the
puzzle
case.
piece.
I think what Spider-Verse
A
did
buff,
instead was unlock something
sexy,
nobody realized they wanted
hot,
in digital animation. To fight
very
the computer.
hot, intricate
After
little,
20 years of
a
movies
big
and
puzzle
TV
piece
that leans
actually.
into what the computer can do, we're finally leaning back into what the artist can do. And I think that's awesome. At the end of the day, I'm personally a huge fan of animating on 3s, 4s, and beyond, and I love seeing it in animation. Aside from the economical reasons that make it ideal
Okay, what do we do
animating by
for
yourself, because you have to draw
shading?
far less frames.
We probably
you can
wanna
get some
do
excellent
something-
fluid animation in just a handful of drawings.
Also, if you
when
want me
know
to watch
exactly what drawings
anything,
to emphasize
or
and how long
react to
hold on
anything, just
You
link
don't
it
need to
up,
draw
bro.
every single frame to get an idea. Just
I
the
don't
most
mind
important.
watching
And
any
then use
React
classical
videos
techniques
at
like
all.
overshoot and
Okay,
smooth
hold on.
to really
Not
emphasize
any and
the
all
motion.
React
But that's
videos.
for another
Probably
video.
most.
Hopefully,
probably
you'll leave
watch
this video
most.
a little more appreciative of the kinds of decisions that go into.
But if you guys don't send anything, I'm gonna
personally
keep
think
watching
there's
art
some more
videos, so it's up to
animation, and I
you.
hope you do too.
You
Thanks for
motherfuckers
watching.
need to make a decision,
This
okay?
video was made possible with my Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/.
And we'll also be
I don't take sponsorships, so it's
we'll
currently
be
the best way
reacting to
support me, and you'll
drama
get
so long
access
as
to
you
an
guys
exclusive
have it,
channel and a
okay?
Discord server, lots of extra
We'll be
content
reacting
behind the scenes,
to
and your name and
the
videos.
Reddit
Thank
posts.
you again to
Actually, we're
Burn
not
Hunter,
reacting to Reddit
Alamar,
posts. I
CGTF
saw a
Films,
post that I thought was
Just
going to
Nero,
talk about me being a
TurboDev,
retard,
Banana
and I
Man,
got worried, so I haven't opened
Inker
it
J,
since.
Eric Richter.
So we're
Hot
not going to be
Career,
reacting
as
to
well as the
posts
main
that speak
CCs
negatively
going now.
about me.
Remember to do the usual YouTube stuff.
Because
and
I'm a
have good
sensitive
one.
baby, of
Bye.
course. But whatever you guys want to link for me to react, make sure to tag me on DGG and say hi. Okay, the shadow is going to be coming from... you know what? If we put her in darkness, it'll be fucking pog.
So in between tutorials,
we
I
probably
want to make some
block
smaller,
out,
quicker to make videos
block
that
out
talk about
most of
animation
this.
from all sorts of backgrounds.
Wait, no,
because
but
I
it
want to
could
make it
be-
easier to understand.
Okay,
not
if
only
the light
how
comes from the
animation is
bottom
made,
here-
but also
ah,
show
yeah,
the
do it
artist
from the
behind
bottom.
it and the amount of work that goes into it.
And then give her
with
some
Wendell
rim
Wild
lighting,
releasing
too.
On Netflix,
Oh
I figured
my
I could talk about
gosh.
the films that came before.
You're a smart
and
guy.
the director behind them, Henry Selick. Even though it's been 13 years since Coraline, people still talk about it, and I think there's a good reason as to why that is, but first we need to start at the
There we
beginning.
go.
Depending on who you are, you may or may not know Selick.
And then there's
going
going
to
to be Shadow
Before
here.
Maybe
Planes of the
without knowing.
Face. If
I'm not
if
sure
you've done
if
it
this is
before,
still
you'll
a
know it.
misconception floating around, but
There we
Tim
go.
Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas wasn't directed by Tim Burton. He was still heavily involved, and he came up with the initial concepts, but he was too busy with Batman Returns to direct, and he approached Selick to direct instead. After that, he was pretty much hands-off with the actual production of the film, so it's Burton's ideas and characters, but everything you see in the actual film is Selick and his team. What always
There we
blows my
go.
mind about The Nightmare Before Christmas is that at that time, everything was done on film. For stop motion, that means shooting every frame one by one and then waiting for that
We could
footage to
probably
develop.
add even a little
Today,
bit
there
more
are tools
darkness
such
to her
as Dragon
face.
Frame that allow stop motion animators to view their shot in real time, but back then it was kind of a guessing game. You shoot your film, you get it developed, no takebacks. You see an error, you redo that shot from the beginning. They did have a monitor in which they could see the last 2 frames they shot and compare them to what they're about to shoot, but otherwise it was pretty raw compared to 2D animation. Animators would go through a whole scene shooting only a few frames, called a pop through, in order to see how far a character needs to walk, what problems they might run into, how to stage characters in the shot and lighting.
Dude,
all
what
that
if we
jazz.
just
And
don't
on the first frame they shot, they would actually draw
What
an
if we just
outline around
don't
the character, and as the
put
scene
her in
progresses, and
complicated
they continue to
clothes?
animate, that outline
It's
shows them
art,
how
right?
far
We
the
can do
character has
whatever we
walked.
want.
Once
I
they
don't
were
think
ready
anybody's
to
gonna be
animate the
upset
scene
if
for
we
real,
take
they
clothes
moved
off
on to the
Karlak
hero
from-
shot that hopefully ends up in the final film.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
along the way, any of those tests or the final hero shot, you take a frame and that was it. You can maybe edit the film afterwards by literally cutting it up, but otherwise you gotta start from the beginning all over again. This makes certain scenes like the opening pretty nuts when you think about it, considering just how much is moving on screen at once.
There we
When you
go.
animate in 3D, the computer
Look
is
at
keeping
that.
track
Now
of
it's starting
every
to come.
frame
Now we're getting an
individually per
idea. Look at
character.
that. If
But
you
in
squint
stop
your eyes,
motion,
you're
everything
gonna
has to
start
be
to see
animated
it.
all at
It's
once,
there,
everything.
brother.
So
The
if you place
titties,
yourself in that studio at
which
that
are
time,
not
just imagine trying to keep
the
track of all the
reason
characters in this shot.
for drawing.
I'm sure they
this.
had animators assigned to individual characters in a scene, but still, it's pretty tough work. However, at least one thing in animation was controlled by computers.
And I
which
doubt
is the
anybody's
camera.
saying
A
this or
crane is
thinking this, but
programmed
if you
to
think
fluidly
that
move from one position to the next,
I reserve
and an
myself to
operator
only
moves
drawing
that
sexy
camera one
women,
frame at a time towards
you're
that
wrong,
next
brother.
destination. So animators could make their adjustments to the current frame and then tell the camera operator to shoot the current frame and move on to the next. That's how you get these camera movements that feel almost handheld and cinematic. But between every frame, the animators are moving every puppet individually. I think this mix of digital camera work with traditional stop motion really elevates the animation and makes it feel lifelike, kind of like it's moving on its own. After The Nightmare
There we
Before
go.
Christmas came James and the Giant
Just
Peach, which
block
I
it.
feel
Just
doesn't
block
get
it.
talked about as much as
Fuck
other
that
stop
movie.
motion
I
animated
hate James
films,
and the
but
Giant
it's still
Peach,
pretty
bro.
delightful. The character
It's not
designs of these
delightful.
main bug
It's
characters are really
terrifying.
fun, and I
No,
think
they're
the
not
movie as a
fun.
whole is a great example of how creative you can get with animation in terms of
I mean,
things that
maybe,
people
but they're
do in
horrific.
animation.
They're
I think when compared
terrifying.
to The Nightmare Before Christmas, which mostly resembles Burton's artwork, this is when we start to see more of Selick's art direction. I feel like this sense of character design is also seen in Wendell and Wild, in particular these very hard-edged, sort of wonky looking characters. This is also the first film that starts to mix in digital effects with blue screen shots for the ocean, and these birds have this very outdated but very charming CGI when they're seen from far away. There's also an excellent sense of color and lighting in this film, especially in this underwater scene.
There we go.
Stop motion in general is a really excellent place to play with lighting because you can use lighting
Actually
techniques that are
true,
usually
yes.
exclusive to live action, such as gel lighting, where you place a
Yep.
colored gel in front of your set's lights to give off specific atmospheres. Much of the mood and atmosphere in live action is determined by gel lighting, so
Bro, there's
whenever I see that
way
used in
too
stop motion,
much.
it really brings a smile to my face because it fully utilizes the medium in
Since
ways
we don't
that
have a
2D
clamoring,
and even
if this
3D
keeps up,
CG
I'm gonna
can't.
go back to
What
drawing
most people remember about
the
James and the
peach,
Giant
'cause I
Peach, though,
really wanna
is
do that.
the
And I guess
mix
we also
between
have this
live
character
action and stop
design.
motion. And if we're gonna start talking
This
about
one's a
mixing
commission.
live action and stop motion,
It's one of
we
your
should just
fellow
talk about Selick's
DGGers
next film, Monkey Bone.
who asked for
Okay,
like a angel
Monkey
monster
Bone
character with
is a
tentacles
lot.
popping out
I'm
of
not
her.
gonna summarize the plot. I'm
The
not
tentacles have like
reviewing the film.
eyeballs
I'm
and
just looking at
mouths,
its
and they're
art
like
manual.
screaming
Just know
in
that
guttural
it was
pain.
a huge box office bomb, and everyone considered
can
it
do
a
that.
narrative disaster. But I think it's visually a very
And then I
vibrant
also got
and
the
creative
peach.
film. There's this sort of dreamlike world Brendan Fraser ends up in called Downtown, and any scene that takes place there is actually pretty great. The set design,
What is with the-
costumes, all of it
what's
creates
with
this
the
really
Wii
weird,
U?
surreal,
The Wii
dreamlike
U.
setting that I think
Why
fits
is that
the
going
delirious,
off?
confused state that the
Wii
character's
U.
in. And all of it features the usual excellent stop motion that Selick was known for at this point. But about halfway through the film, it all sort of falls apart. It has its moments, but the rest of the film takes place almost entirely within the real world rather than downtown, and it's all just kind of a disaster. Hey look, it's Bob Odenkirk. And I think part of the reason why that is because Henry Selick was allegedly fired halfway
There
through
we
production.
go.
Yeah, I found this out after basically writing this entire script, and it explains everything. So let's back up a bit. What's important to know here is that Monkey Bone is actually based on a comic called Darktown, and Downtown, the movie setting, shares a lot more in common with that comic than the rest of the film. And this wasn't a well-known comic at all at the time. It only ever had one issue and a small print run, but Selleck loved the original comic so much that when he pursued the film rights, he's quoted as saying, "I've never felt any project was closer to my sensibilities than this one." And you know what? That makes a lot of sense. If you look at Wenzel and Wild and even parts of Coraline and James and the Giant Peach, it really does feel like it shares a visual DNA with Darktown. And I think the sensibilities that he's talking about really come out during these scenes in Downtown, the movie setting. It makes me wonder if Selleck wanted to adapt Darktown into a fully stop motion film, because I think the Darktown comic would really lend itself visually to stop motion. Something about the comic's art style feels like you could do the whole film in sort of a woodcut style with dark mood lighting and a spooky atmosphere, just like Selleck's other films. At the time, stop motion was a hard sell to executives because it was seen as dated compared to CG, and he was likely only able to make the film if it was entirely live action but with some stop motion characters. And it's a shame because I can really see a stop motion adaptation of Darktown looking really beautiful. The stop motion we did get out of Monkey Bone, though, is really wonderful. It's incredibly fluid, it's clean, characters often interact with actors in a way that still holds up today, and I think some of the scenes in which an actor interacts with Monkey Bone look better than some modern films with actors interacting.
Now you
with
see,
CG.
we're adding,
Monkey Bone is a
we're
fully
adding
stop
some
motion
lighting,
character
not
animated in a
reflective.
really bombastic
The only
and
problem is that
cartoony way,
here's
yet
here's
he
what you
feels like
shouldn't
he's
do
in
that I
sync.
still do.
Stop
If
motion
you're
for most of
an
film
artist, you
history
should
was
probably.
basically
I mean, you don't have
synonymous
to
with special effects.
do whatever you want as
And
an
with-
artist. But here's my personal opinion. Probably play. How's your first stream going? I just finished a stream like 30 minutes ago. It's going pretty well. It's going pretty all right. Yeah, it's the first time here on Kick. We don't have things set up yet. Yeah, we don't have a lot of things set up. I don't know how to do a bunch of stuff, but it's been all right. It's nice, relaxing plays. I know that it's not as heavily modded as Twitch, which is good. It seems pretty nice. I like that it's got an art category. It doesn't have a lot of artist people, so I figured why not, you know, be one of the few. It's pretty nice. Botrix is your best friend. Okay, now I'm gonna
the
sound a little bit
advent of
silly.
Technology into
Who's
special
Botrix?
effects. What could have
Is that like a
happened if
big
film
artist?
like Monkey Bone wasn't a disaster narratively and ended up being a huge success financially? Maybe we would have seen more stop motion characters in live action films. Okay,
Just
I think
who
I've
is
said my piece about
Botrix?
Monkey Bone. Let's talk about Coraline, a movie that lives in my head rent free.
But thanks for coming in and giving it a watch. I hope your stream went well. Just Slade Design.
Film of all time. Something's just very magical about the entire film, and it's sometimes hard to describe why. So let me try to. Okay, so every animator has that one.
Wait, what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying,
people made this, right?
if you're gonna
When
be
you're younger, animation
making
is this
again,
magical
don't
thing that
you
just-
don't. It's your art. Don't follow my rules. But I personally find that I fall into this mistake all the time. I'm falling into it right now, where I'm more caught up with kind of sculpting the shape of the body, and I'm not thinking about like color and the environment. It's a lot to have in your head if you're kind of learning stuff, and you're thinking like, oh, where do I move into? It's good for us, designers and artists on Kick. As if you start now, you'll be one of the first here with us. Yeah. It did. Thanks. I'm working on a custom design. So wait, the custom design for, do you do like 3D modeling? Do you do, or are you designing like a character? Like, are you like a 2D artist? But yeah, no, you probably want to pay attention to like environment, because what I'm doing right now is like a probably like mistake, and I'm probably gonna have to overcorrect for like a lot of what I'm doing a little bit. But I kind of want to get this. I can't wait to dig. I have little patience too, so I kind of want to dig into making like her body and making her look cool. Botrix is a chatbot, but you can set alert widgets and commands. Oh, so probably read Botrix. So that's probably how you say it. I have to look into it, and I'll set it up too. This is my first. This is my first stream, so I'm gonna be making some additions. We're probably gonna touch up some stuff. I don't know. I think it's interesting to come over here to Kick. I had affiliate on Twitch, but I don't know, man. I think over here, I would rather take my chances and not kind of do anything on Twitch anymore. Yeah, it's pretty simple. You have to sign in with your Twitch, but then there's the settings for Kick. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking into that for sure. But like I was saying, I think I definitely would like to opt out of Twitch. So even if I have affiliate over there, I think I would rather come over here, especially because this is so far ahead. Like I think I have like 3 followers. It says 3 followers over there, unless it hasn't updated. So hardly the time to start worrying about this. But I hear stuff about how Kick is trying to give like streamers like a wage, so probably like successful streamers. But man, I don't know. That's pretty fucking enticing. If I am gonna be doing streaming, I'm probably gonna head over to the place that's kind of thinking about doing that for peeps. Especially if I get to double dip on streaming my commissions. That would be pretty fucking cool. So that's kind of the reason why we're here too. We're also streaming to YouTube, but I think YouTube is cool because doesn't YouTube save all your VODs? And you can hold all that stuff forever on YouTube, right? Like YouTube won't delete your VODs after a certain time. So honestly, I think you're just building up a catalog. It seems to be the upside. But I just watch a lot of streamers. I don't do a lot of streaming. So this is secondhand, all right? Also, I don't know how long it'll be before the reacting party gets cracked down on Kick. But I feel like this is I don't know. I feel like this is the pretty useful spot to share and watch together. Like this guy here, what's his name? His name is Doodly. I found him out like 2 weeks ago, and this guy just talks about animation, and it's fucking awesome. And it's not like a lot of big streamers are doing like reacts to this guy. I have an audience of like what 10 people, less than that. So it's fun. Like nobody cares if I come over here and I game over on Twitch as I play PS5, but over here it's a bit different to hit affiliate. But it should be possible. But yeah, I heard that too, which seems true. People saying an average from $5 an hour or more depending on your channel and stuff. That sounds fucking wonderful. That sounds really fucking cool. I'd be more than happy to do shit with that. That'd be great. So yeah, I'm with Kick, okay? I'm more than welcome our Kick overlords, okay? Yeah, Twitch hasn't been the best. I also heard, I don't know if this is true, I guess I'm thinking a lot about social media platforms like X, Twitter, but apparently X and Twitter have been doing some stuff with their algorithm that fucks up artists quite a bit. Apparently, I only heard this, I don't know if this is true, but writing stuff like commissions or like available for work or anything on your Twitter posts, the algo chops you right then and there. I'm hoping that Kick has better discoverability too, is what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping that they push more of artist creators out there, because that'd be great. That would be awesome. Okay, no. Are you gonna do those belts, bro? Let's take a look at Princess Peach one more time, and let's think about this.
Someone designed the back of the other mother's dress so that it resembles an insect shell, furthering her whole thing with insects. Someone designed the other father's set so that all of his belongings.
Exactly, bro. I have done graphics since back in school for like 6-7 years now, but hardly done it in 2 years. But recently bought a graphics pad and seen all this new stuff with Kick, and I jumped at the opportunity. There's a fun community here. That's what I hear, and that's what I see. Because I watch some, I don't want to call them small because they get like a good amount of audience, but I watch some Kick guys. I watch Darius IRL. I watch Destiny is really big, but I watch that Darius IRL, and it feels like other streamers from Kick will come into chat and just start blowing up people, like small streamers stuff. It does feel like the community is good here. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of impressive. Okay, what was the name of the file again? It was Peach. No? Oh, it should be. So, it was Sword Fighter Peach. That's what you're thinking.
And this is the film I think of when I remember.
Rumiel is my boy. He's a vibe, bro.
Goes into animation. Coraline.
I'm a bit picky when it comes to my streamers, but I'll give him a shot. What does Rumiel do? What's his deal? What's he do?
And I love every bit of it. Okay, so 2009.
Okay,
Let's talk about that 13-year gap between.
The thing with Peach is that her design is so simple. He's a streamer here, but does he stream like gameplay? What does he do? Is he like
The story of this film's cancellation is incredibly long and complicated, and it could probably be a video.
Does he stream?
There's this great video that covers
epic
the entire
gameplay
history by Superboy Cinema that you should watch instead. That I'll link down below. But I want to just use this film to paint you a picture about business.
There we
The short
go.
of it is that the Shadow
Wait,
King
what is
was going to
happening?
be
Oh,
Selig's
there we
next
go.
film after Coraline, but Disney canceled it in
My link
2012.
won't send.
It was
I'll
released
give it a
in
look.
production
Is that something I have to enable on my chat?
Disney spent
Sending
$50
links?
million on it,
It's my very
and
first.
Hollywood
I
had
might have to
final
look into
stop
that.
animation done. It's extremely rare for a project to get canceled that late into production. So what happened? What we've
Rumiel.
learned so far from
Let's take a
Selleck's
look.
previous films is that when an
Let's
artist
see
is
what we
left to their
got.
own devices,
Rumiel. That is probably not who I'm thinking of. Kick TV. Okay, so I see he does like some Watch Dogs. Oh, this guy does digital art, just chatting. Okay, pretty cool. That's my guy. Hell yeah. That's fucking. Oh, there's a digital art category. Am I in digital? Yeah, I am. Okay, gotcha. That's pretty fucking cool. Hell yeah, I'll give him a follow. Next time he's up and streaming, I can give it a look.
passionate about, and audiences can
Give it a
tell
watch.
that they were
But yeah, no, the community seems
corporations
really
then
nice
end
over
up with
here. Really, really
masterpieces
cool.
that stand the test of time and are still talked about. On the business
There's
side, that
digital
can
art
mean
and
tons of
art. I'm glad I
merchandising
chose the
features
right
to come,
one,
and it can be
'cause I kinda just did this in a
constantly
rush.
networks and streaming services. It's a win-win at the end of the day for both artists and corporations. But when executives and corporate regimes
Dude, I
change
should have
in the way
planned the
of artists,
background
you
better
get
before I did
disasters.
this.
Powerful people who come in, demand a
Same
bunch
thing
of
with the
changes,
peach.
and walk out with a project
Oh.
worse than when they came in. And all the while, that project probably
Okay,
would have been
so-
more financially successful if they had just
Fuck
left
it.
alone.
It's art.
Because
Nothing
when
is
an
stopping you
artist
from
is
just fixing it.
passionate
Here we
about
go.
what they're creating,
Okay,
it shows.
where
And
someone
it
told me
shows
that
because
Karlach
it's
from
a
Baldur's
commitment.
Gate's like best in like a forest. Let's start with some muted greens, because you can't go wrong with muted greens.
Part of the reason it got canceled is because allegedly John
And then we do want
Lasseter
this to
came
be like
in
the
and made a
floor.
bunch of changes to the film that they would then have to keep
God,
up
that's
with.
a lot
That
of
was to balloon
space.
the budget and make the production of the film a lot harder on them. Ideally, Selleck probably would have finished the film on time, and it probably would have been just.
And then
as
you know what we
successful
probably
as
want to do?
Selleck puts it best in this interview with CTN.
When there's an
Okay, hold on.
executive
Then you know what we probably would be down for, since she's like a
in every case
demon and stuff. Well, I tend to click through,
can ultimately
which has less views. That's pretty fucking cool. Hell yeah.
like
I bet you there's a ton of fucking streamers that you talk to that probably thank the shit out of you for kind of giving that attention and that time to their stuff.
have input. But let me decide and you'll have a better film that will be more successful.
I used to do that on early Twitch, but then I kind of fell off streaming and I don't do that as much
Constantly
anymore.
complain about the current media
But like I
landscape
said, with the mindset that you brought up, which is like, hey, hop on here and help create the community. This could be a really cool opportunity to be like on the ground floor, right? Especially if it's like a small little place. So again, the stuff that you're doing, very fucking cool and very smart too.
It's important to have deadlines and expectations.
There
and
you go.
budgets.
Do like
And
a
when project falls
fire.
Outside of all of those, it's reasonable to pull back expectations. That does happen. But too often, especially within 2022, we have seen an unbelievable amount of excellent projects that absolutely would
There
have
you
been more
go.
successful had they just been left alone. And sometimes it's better to give leeway and bite the bullet for the long-term.
And then what do we
cultural
want? Do we want,
impact
like,
than the short-term
Trees
gain.
probably.
Netflix
We want
had
a
this
couple
going
trees.
For years, and they produced
Yeah, we
some
want
of
a
the
couple
best animated
trees.
works in the past few years because of it. Until
Oh,
they
Klaus
saw some
is
executives
so
from DreamWorks
fucking
who
good,
banned
bro.
anything that wasn't making Cocomelon numbers. What happened with The Shadow King also happened with Netflix's Bone.
You might be thinking to yourself, purple, and especially this kind of purple, is not a good idea for trees. Well, I'm telling you,
So here's my pitch to you.
definitely
Support these films.
depends.
Show
Trust
the
me, it'll
world
come
what
together.
happens when you just let artists do their thing, and maybe we can get more stuff like it. And Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio in December. While you're at
Dude,
it.
I did not like Guillermo
Thanks
del
for watching.
Toro's Pinocchio.
The growth of
It's
this
not a
channel
bad
as
movie, even in the slightest.
has been kind
It's a
of
pretty good movie.
still
But let me tell you
seeing all
something.
of it, all I can say is just
It's a bit of a tearjerker. Like way too much for me. It's just
teaching people about it.
hella depressing. Even though it has like a very positive attitude, the whole movie. Exactly, bro. You'll see like 15 people max, and that is not every day either. So we're all starting streamers in the yeah, pretty much.
I want to improve appreciation for animation as a whole, and I think part of that is not.
It'd be nice too, because
focusing on
like you'll probably
amazing
remember like a
diversity,
lot of these
but showing
names
the
as they go
artists behind
forward
it and what
too.
they go through to create the stuff that people love and what companies profit off of. All the
There
music
we
in this
go.
video is done by my friend Jay.
Although I will say I don't have any like community outside of the streaming thing. Like I don't have like a Discord, and maybe I could get it. But in all honesty, I just kind of want to stream here for fun when I'm doing commissions and stuff. Maybe in the future, but for now, this also seems like the perfect place for that too.
And I hope this video makes you appreciate it a little bit more. So thanks for watching my silly little videos about animation, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
And then what do we want for her? There's something. I think even her longest leg is really short. But you know what? That just means it's time to take off the line and go off of just painting, bro. Can we do that? Where did you put those stinky lines, boy?
Boku no Natsu Yasumi's inventory menu especially.
Oh shit, it's Tim. It's Tim Rogers. It's gonna be a really fucking long one. Is there any other videos to put on right now? Cause nah, fuck it. Put on Tim Rogers. If somebody else, Rumiel has a growing Discord where you can post some art stuff and promote your streams. Hey, that'd be pretty cool. Most of the people I associate with are the political streamers because I do some work for them. I do work with Not So Erudite. Maybe in the future Destiny. We're seeing what's going on. We're seeing. But those that's my crowd. So I would be more than happy to kind of get to know people, find a place where I can talk to them about art and stuff. And then drag that down for a little bit. Dude, my computer's gonna blow up. Okay, yeah, select all of these. You should probably put these in a folder. You should probably put these in a folder. Okay, I think this is all the Karlach stuff. Put it right here. There we go. Now grab that. Bring that in. I wonder, but is most of the art stuff on so far here on Kick? Is it like mostly is it like a lot of illustration? Is it like what, 3D modeling? Because I would be down to 3D model here. I want to learn how to 3D model, and I would love to stream the experience too. There you go. There you go. You will have to jump in Rumiel's stream sometime to get the link. Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I got no problem with that. Fuck yeah, I'll do that. Again, seems like a really fucking cool sense of community so far. So I'm not complaining. I'm down for it. Is he still... Wait, did I pause the video? No, I didn't. It's just Tim Rogers. There we go.
After the paraphernalious, convoluted video games I had just finished reviewing for this.
There we go.
To prepare myself for Boku
That
no
arm's
Natsu
still
Yasumi,
hella
I
long,
first
and I
purchased
understand
the
it's in
used copy of
perspective,
it
but
from
like...
Japan on eBay. When it arrived, I investigated its box art.
More
I saw
interesting
in the lower right
shapes.
corner the
Fuck, maybe we can't
Contrails
just paint
logo.
this on. Fuck the
I knew
drawing.
Contrail's logo from the opening screens of a few of my favorite PlayStation 1 Japanese role-playing games, 1998's Legend
It
of
will be a
Gaia,
challenge. I've never done
1999's
just
1 of Those Two, and one of
painting
my
before
less favorite,
without
The
having...
Orphan 2.
But I can use the
I knew
drawing that I
Contrail had
used here
also
as
produced Alpha
guidelines.
Systems' Linda
Here, let's
Cube,
go.
again, a 1999 PlayStation
Let's
remake
go.
of their classic PC Engine
Let's
role-playing
go,
game,
bro.
Linda Cube, and I knew that Contrail had also
There
gone on
we
to
go.
perhaps most notably produce Alpha Systems' absolute 1999 masterpiece, Ore no Shikabane o Koite Yuke. As I played through the opening hours of Legend of Legaia, a thought hit me.
There we go.
I should probably
And then what, she has like a
play
giant
the list
axe?
of
Where is
Contrail
her...
games before setting in to play through them all. So I went to Wikipedia. While on Wikipedia, I figured I might as well do a little more research, and this led me to a transcript of an
Oh
interview
god,
Boku no
the image is
Natsu Yasumi's
so
first
small.
and
Well anyways,
biggest
bro, glad
Western
you're having
fan,
fun with your
Ray
first stream.
Arnold,
I'll drop a follow and see you around sometime. I'm head to bed. Hell yeah, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you too. I'll give you a follow too, and I can tune into your streams. Like I said, I'm always working, and I always need like stuff to watch and to listen to while in the background, because I got that goldfish attention span, so hell yeah.
Minimally in
give
Boku
that.
no Natsu Yasumi's development. He said that
Absolutely,
in the
bro. I
entire
appreciate it.
history
Thanks, and have a good sleep,
Boku
bro.
no
Have a
Natsu
good rest.
Yasumi's development cycle, Contrail had only offered one note of feedback. So I decided that maybe I decided not to play all of those Contrail games. I mean, actually, I had actually already played all of them years ago, over the years. It was that gave me maybe the very first instance of going to Wikipedia to look for a list of something and realizing I had engaged with literally everything on the list. Never had that before.
There we go.
So-
Appreciate that too. Catch you soon. Hell yeah, bro.
Constitute a ringing endorsement of Contrail. It's just those are some games I played. They were Sony's second party
There we
publisher.
go.
Like, I don't even know what they even did on most of those games. Legend of Legaia is cool though. The one note of feedback Contrail's producers had given Boku no Natsuyasumi's
And then
developers at
her
Millennium
axe has like a
Kitchen
little tippy tip.
described the landscape of Boku no Natsuyasumi as too rural. They suggested that Millennium Kitchen add a visible highway somewhere in the game. So they did. That highway features prominently in 3 of the game's most visually striking background paintings. And the area under its overpass serves as the lair for a group of local delinquents. These delinquents exist to provide a venue for Boku's beetle
There
wrestling
we go. And you know
quest.
what?
Though their makeshift hideout's situation under a highway overpass allows their subplot to elegantly exude a theme of class. So suffice it to say, Contrail had left one good note of feedback because I liked that highway. So in the interest of fairness to any former Contrail employees watching this video, and because I just love Legend of Legaia, I played the first 8 hours of Legend of Legaia. Then I dove into Boku no Natsuyasumi. I found Boku no Natsuyasumi at turns refreshing and enthralling. Boku no Natsuyasumi shows us a game where the most violent event occurs in a samurai TV show you can only hear, not see, if you happen by the television in the family living room on one of the game's 30 playable afternoons. Boku no Natsuyasumi shows us a game whose unlockable, achievementless, modest expanses' deepest mysteries involve making your 2 female cousins, one older, one younger, trust you enough to open up about their insecurities. Boku no Natsuyasumi's cast includes an uncle who makes traditional pottery, an aunt who quit a career as a big city photographer to become a rural mother, and a big city college girl who dreams of becoming a nature photographer of wolves, which have long been regarded as extinct in Japan. In Boku no Natsuyasumi, the family leaves you alone in their house for one day, August 15th, 1975, while they visit a loved one in a graveyard. Your uncle asks you to please stay home and watch the house. He adds,
まあ泥棒さんが入るようなところじゃないから
not that any burglars would ever show up around these parts. And then, burglars do not show up. How many games with Resident Evil's exact control scheme can you think of where a character says, a violent event probably will not occur here, and then a violent event does not occur there? Probably not many, unless you count the first 8 hours of Dragon Quest VII, which, doesn't have Resident Evil's exact control scheme. Though I want to talk about Dragon Quest VII. So let's say, unless you count the first 8 hours of Dragon Quest VII, which, interestingly, launched in Japan on Saturday, August 26th of the year 2000, 2 months and 4 days after Boku no Natsuyasumi. In Dragon Quest VII, you don't see a slime until about 8 hours in. Before then, you, for example, bring your fisherman dad a hoagie onto his boat, and you try to convince your alcoholic uncle to stop getting into fights at the local bar. Despite quickly becoming the best-selling PlayStation 1 game of all time in Japan, Dragon Quest VII earned an enduring frowny reputation for its gutsy decision to not have a single fight in its entire hefty opening chapter. Boku no Natsuyasumi, on the other hand, leapt with both little-shoed feet, landing directly in the jackpot of cultural treasure. I gotta admit, I love that first chunk of Dragon Quest VII. I find it hilarious that, by all accounts, somewhere in the ballpark of 1 million people had purchased the game early on a Saturday morning. They lined up for hours. And then they didn't get to see a single slime until Sunday. I do not really like that they shove a slime into your face 2 seconds into Dragon Quest VIII as some kind of apology.
Uh-oh, here comes trouble, Gov.
And I also do not like that they drastically trimmed Dragon Quest VII's intro chapter down for the 3DS version. It was like 7 or 8 hours on PlayStation 1. When I first played Dragon Quest VII, full 7.5, 8-hour intro and all, it captivated me. It made me want a whole fightless role-playing game. It must have done similar to plenty of other persons of lordly sensibility. We just wanted a non-violent game with a substance-bursting story. Not because we hated video game violence. I'll tell you as many times as I have to, I love blasting freaks. Though we wanted a non-violent game with a big story just because
I do love
we knew games
I
could
do love
do
blasting
anything.
freaks.
So in my mind, my beloved Dragon Quest VII and Boku no Natsuyasumi remain inextricably linked by this nebulous little wispy thread. I come to you today reviewing Boku no Natsuyasumi instead of Dragon Quest VII, of course, because you could
What about the
play
ass?
Boku no Natsuyasumi literally 20 times all the way through before you could finish Dragon Quest VII once. And also because I really want to keep with the vacation theme for a little while. Also, in keeping with the vacation theme, I promised myself I would only play through Boku no Natsuyasumi
There we
twice.
go.
I promised myself I would not capture the first of these 2 playthroughs. I would let the first playthrough happen naturally. After my second playthrough of Boku no Natsuyasumi 1, I would play through Boku no Natsuyasumi 2 and 4 exactly once, and the semi-spin-off Bokura no Kazoku exactly once. I skipped Boku no Natsuyasumi 3, not for any particular reason. I mean, it looks amazing. I just wanted to be able to say I held myself back and purposely did not play one entry of this series. And ultimately, I think this decision fit the spirit of the game. Boku no Natsuyasumi 1, 2, and 3 each concern a young, bright-eyed, inquisitive, yet charmingly not clownishly impetuous youth named Boku Kubota, visiting his aunt and uncle in rural Japan during the month of August 1975. Each game involves a locale based on a different real-life region of rural Japan. Same Boku, same month, same year, different aunt and uncle in a different location. Boku no Natsuyasumi has a multiverse. By the way, Boku no Natsuyasumi 4 takes place in 1985. And before anyone asks, yes, I did play a bit of Millennium Kitchen's Crayon Shin-chan branded Boku no Natsuyasumi released for the Nintendo Switch in 2021. Though I've got to admit, Crayon Shin-chan is just a little too rambunctious for me. I far prefer the more quietly inquisitive Boku. In real life, we only get one summer vacation per year. So this year, I vacationed into reviewing Boku no Natsuyasumi 1, the original.
Can you imagine
I
being a
wanted
game
short
review
game.
critic
I
and
wanted
your
a simple
vacation
game. I
is
wanted a
playing
game with the
video
flavor
games?
of real
I mean,
novel
fuck it. There's
literature.
probably people that work in video
Game
games that
that
still play a lot of video
reminded
games
me
just
of
for fun.
Powerful truths. Though
It's got to take away from it. It's got to take some of it.
I
away from
wanted
it.
an in its time AAA game with fixed camera angles and only 2 visible times of day, because I did not want to have to recapture every scene from a different camera angle at a different time of day. I wanted a game that let me idle on each fixed camera angle screen forever, composing one perfect shot over which to lay long, ruminative
There we go. And then
monologues.
just fix the
I wanted
hair.
a story-rich
Okay,
game
but again, like
with
most
main
of this
character
is we're
wearing
sculpting with
the
painting,
same
dude. We're not even gonna really use a
exact
lot of.
outfit
We've
for the
already used
entire
plenty of
story,
line, but
because
line.
the game has wardrobe choices.
What if we take off
I
all the line? How's
know
it? How's that
I
gonna look?
need to capture every single.
Okay, we
scene,
got something. If we
every
take off
possible
all
cut.
of the line,
I wanted a game that referenced Elden Ring.
there's a lot of little
22
fucking ringy
years
rings for the straps,
before
bro.
Elden
This is
Ring
gonna be a bit
came out. I
painful.
knew that every Boku no Natsuyasumi subsequent to the first retains the mechanical simplicity.
But that is gonna be fun. Like her body is gonna be fun to paint
that I
once we
very
get
well
all
could have
the
reviewed
strap stuff
all of them
figured
at
out.
the same time by picking and reviewing any individual one of them at random. I know Boku no Natsuyasumi 2, 3,
we
and
just gotta-
4 each add more and longer plot threads and more side games than the original's bug catching, beetle suit,
There we go.
fishing, and kite flying. I know their
Jeez, I need a
graphics get
good-
better, which makes Mineko
Okay,
Ueda's
there we go.
brilliant character designs
God
shine
damn,
ever
she's a
brighter,
looker.
And I know each Boku no
we got the shape of
Natsuyasumi
the
is
face
a
right?
fuller and
Probably.
richer and maybe even better game than the last. Though in this review,
She's got like
focused
really like
entirely on the
sculpted
first,
lips.
because I
Dude, she's
wanted
like
to
a
review
fucking
game
model,
on
this
the
girl.
same
God damn.
urban legendary level as Tokimeki no
I don't know how I'm gonna do all the veiny veins. Although unintentionally smart, the shoulder with the most of scar tissue is actually in the back. Some would call it cowardice. I would say happy accident because I did not do that on purpose. Now the little glowy chess piece
quite
thing.
soon, and I didn't have anything to do with that. For now, however, know that you do not need to have played Boku no Natsuyasumi in order to watch this review, because I have played it for you.
God, I love
extracted
him.
much to talk
God,
about
I
from the
fucking
review.
love this. I
So today,
love this
I'd like to
motherfucker so
discuss Boku
much.
no Natsuyasumi first as an exotic, quote unquote, to Japanese import.
And the thing is that I need to remember because
As a work
the
of excellent
pattern of her
world-class
glow
still
is just a
modern
rib
design
cage.
craft. Third,
It's just a
as a
human rib cage. So
well-structured
again, the
and
sternum is
paced
not going to
literary
show.
story. And fourth, as a premium work of interactive narrative design, which shows us a unique way.
And I'm not even
to
considering values
essentialize
too, which is kind of
interactivity
fucked.
in a
But
novel
alas, here
video
we
game.
are.
Then we'll go on the road. After that, we'll meet right back here for our conclusion.
God, I love him. I love the shit he says. I love how he says it. I fucking love Tim Rogers. I love that motherfucker. If I could give that man a big sloppy kiss, I probably wouldn't. But I would tell him.
Boku no
I would tell him that I
Natsuyasumi
would.
released for the Sony PlayStation in Japan.
I don't think he'd be very
Thursday,
interested,
June
but still,
22nd
it's the
of
thought
year
that counts.
2000. Meanwhile, Sony Computer Entertainment
The
has
colors
released
are
the
interesting,
PlayStation 2
folks.
console in Japan 3 months
Remember,
and 18
everything
days
reflects light, so there should be a
earlier
lot
on
of green.
Saturday,
If she's in the
March
forest,
4th,
she's the
2000.
only red thing,
Boku no
contrasting
Natsuyasumi
colors.
arrived under the
Red
shadows of multiple
contrast green, but if there's a lot of
the
reflective,
PlayStation 1 game in the soon burgeoning heyday of PlayStation 2,
what
a
the fuck?
non
Maybe we just ignore it. Maybe we just ignore it.
Kill graphics, a story of childhood as
No,
games had
are you
just
really?
started definitively
Are you
thinking
really
about
gonna
growing
ignore
up.
things
A
that are gonna
story
improve
about 25
your
years in
drawing,
the
your
past,
painting?
just as
Can you
video
do that
games
to
had
yourself,
begun
brother?
locking on to the certainty of a
Abso-goddamn-lutely.
bright future. A game so positively Japanese, arriving at about the exact time video games had truly gone global. I too occupied the center of a personalized Venn diagram at the time Boku no Natsuyasumi.
God, I fucking love him so much.
20-year-old college student, a fan of video games since the early days of the medium, an employee of a store that would later become a GameStop, a studier of languages, and a frequent lurker of video game discussion forums
What a-
on the internet.
Dude, I love how much of a little freak he is. God, I love him. A little man freak.
More and more toward the obscure.
I don't think you can make fun of him. He's so in his own world. If you're gonna be, I guess nerds are popular, but if you're gonna be a nerd, at least I think you should possess the confidence to live in your own world the same way Tim Rogers does. And you can say it's all like an act, it's for YouTube videos, but I assure you it's not. You'd be insane to think that, listen, I can forgive somebody for not knowing how this motherfucker is, but everything I've seen, strong,
Yet despite their exuberance for the
it strongly
pure
makes me
beauty of
believe
the
that he's
design
not
and
exact, but
presentation,
at the very
the
least,
old specter crept
still
in.
as fucking weird IRL.
Defeatism formed the core of any obscure game preferer's heart in those days. You might grapple with soulfully understanding this notion today as fan-made translations of lovingly obscure weirdo games like Racing Lagoon and Planet Laika trickle and spurt out of a generous community. Today, the most ardent likers of games for freaks know the power of their own hands.
God, he is
Back
a
in
freak.
the year 2000, however, the average affordable used desktop personal computer struggled to run even a Super Nintendo emulator. Back in the year 2000, us 20-year-olds had just finished teenagering through the latter half of the 1990s. When we had seen Akira and decided to get into anime, we needed to submit to the curious selections of Blockbuster Video and the Sci-Fi Channel. If you'd read about Dragon Ball Z enough times in tiny preview blurbs of Electronic Gaming Monthly and gotten too much hype from die-hard game fans' inside info about Goku, now you had to wake up at 6 a.m. 13 Sundays in a row to start the VCR. Maybe in 2022, where our current Guilty Gear Strive-blessed reality includes a Western game studio deciding to set one of the 40 best AAA video games of the past 10 years in Japan on purpose. Here in this present period where we have a literal Batman who vocally loves Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. You might have difficulty believing this, though back in the year 2000, we had long since grown bitterly accustomed to Western video game publishers passing over the games that looked most interesting in preview blurbs and committing drastic stylistic alterations to the box illustrations of the Japanese games they did decide to bring over. The jerks upstairs dared even to scrub off the wholly perfect work of Akira Toriyama.
That's fucking funny.
Generic
I mean, that's a tragedy, but in a certain way, it's kind of funny.
When Squaresoft somehow had opted to in 1995,
I didn't grow up with any of those fucking Final Fantasy games, dude. Didn't grow up with Chrono Trigger. Didn't grow up with any of those. So all this reference that people have when they're talking about Chrono Trigger, when they're talking about Final Fantasy, what, like 1 through 9, it's not there. I don't have it, bro. I appreciate it now, hearing about it, but I don't have any of this nostalgia for it.
Subconsciously fell all the way in. We began to let our preference of cool Japanese stuff define our taste in hobby activities. 5 years passed, and our tastes became most of us's only means of identity expression. When we saw on an internet forum a gorgeous, unique, weird PlayStation game peeking forth from a low-resolution scanned image from a Japanese magazine that came out last week, our instincts directly rushed.
Oh, do the fucking notes.
Clicking on a forum concerning a Japanese video game that did not fit the most fatalistic of self-identified game likers' cynical definition of quote-unquote mainstream introduced you to the defeatism that lurks at the heart of my generation's wholesale opinions about media. A forum thread about Boku no Natsuyasumi, which I remember fondly, checked neatly every conspiracy theory box as its contributors sprinted breathless down the checklist that hammered every nail in the coffin of this happy little boy having a fun summer game's pre-dwindled prospects of ever seeing a release over here. Over here meant America, though I think some British guys posted there too. Like the moon in the sky again and again, once per lap re-earthed itself, a repetition of the tried and doom-said nomination. Too Japanese. 22 years have passed since those days. Boku no Natsuyasumi yet has seen no official release to any definition of over here, except Japan, where they might call over here Kokurahen. Why, ultimately, did Boku no Natsuyasumi, in all its simple, understated beauty and mechanical purity, despite seeing significant success, a remaster, and 2 sequels in its country of origin, never find its way with a bad title and worse box art into American retailers, who'd later have to all change their names to GameStop? Perhaps they couldn't figure out how to translate the title. Boku no Natsuyasumi, translated face valuably, means my summer break. This does not sound exciting in English. It barely sounds exciting in Japanese either, though at least in Japanese it carries a tinge of ambiguity. Translators, either in Boku no Natsuyasumi's release day or now, might experience a temptation to translate its title as My Summer Vacation. Though, if we tunnel deeply enough into the etymology, we find this lacking.
God,
foundation.
please tunnel
The
deep
Japanese
into the.
word
God,
yasumi
I fucking
means
love you, Tim
simply
Rogers.
break. A yasumi cannot exist without a task to take a break from. In In this case, the 9-year-old protagonist takes his break from school. In English, we often interchange usages of break and vacation when referring to school. In my youth, we had summer vacations at home by the apartment complex pool in Kansas. Yet to say vacation stresses destinations or locations, not the contrast between the activity one needs a break from and the luxuriant nothing doing of the break itself. The English noun
It's starting to come together,
vacation
her face.
includes the root verb
But I don't feel
to
like her face is
vacate,
super similar
to
to her in the
leave
game, but
behind
it's okay.
either a
We can
duty
take
or
creative liberties.
place. Duty being the important word here. The word vacation suggests an active decision to vacate one's location or duty. In the protagonist of Boku no Natsuyasumi's case, his parents make the decision for him. For this bright-eyed young boy, the dreamy, hot month of August 1975 happens in a place far from his usual home, though it happens most rootedly in contrast to his busier days at school in Tokyo. I know from listening to enough city pop records that when a Japanese person seeks to invoke the full palpation of the English word vacation, they either use it outright or, most likely, they lean on the Japanese appropriation of the French noun vacances. Yasumi meaning literally to rest. I'd not translate the word Natsuyasumi into any other phrase than summer break. Having said that, the title My Summer Break also glosses over one of Boku no Natsuyasumi's defter literary quirks. Boku means I, the first-person pronoun I in Japanese, suffixed with the possessive particle no. Boku no thus means my. However, even in this simple, tiny phrase, we encounter a poison swamp of unfathomable depth.
Why does he
Unlike
choose
most
to?
languages,
I love him.
Japanese offers
Why does he
such a
choose to
wide
speak like
variety of
this?
First-person pronouns, where in English we have no choice other than to call ourselves
You'll never
I.
fucking know.
A
Neither will
Japanese
I.
speaker chooses a first-person pronoun at will to suit their personality, gender identity, age, or even social standing relative to their current conversation partner. The most polite first-person pronoun usage style usually requires the speaker to use no pronoun at all, though let's forget about that for a minute. Textbooks teach foreign students watashi or watakushi. A man in his 20s probably calls himself ore. A man in his 40s who thinks he's in his 20s might call himself ore-sama. A cat in a Natsume Soseki novel might call himself wagahai. And a girly girl most likely calls herself atashi.
私も帰るところだよ
I've seen elderly washis. I've known 3 20-something female ores. And I once met a 98-year-old lady from Hiroshima who graceful, dignified, and blessed with warmth, experience, many grand
Why does he say the shit he does?
consistently called herself Boku. This last one remains a curiosity to me. Boku, 99.9% of the time, applies to men, mostly young men, by which I mean boys and young boys. Young boys call themselves Boku more than they call themselves anything else.
そうだ僕の工房に行こうよ
If you can believe it, I did not go to a Japanese elementary school, though I have known many guys who did. When sufficiently drunk, those guys sometimes talk about those years. And one remarkable anecdote pops into my mind. In the middle of a discussion about what gym class was like at
Is this slightly romanticizing? Because I feel like it
my
is.
good buddy from Osaka, completely wasted, said that he called himself Ode starting in 2nd grade and that he was definitely the stupidest child in his class.
まずは俺に相談しろ
The juxtaposition of those two facts.
I find it hard not to romanticize stupidity at
on a
IMO.
particular far-off night occurs to me now as unflinchingly significant. Young Japanese boys call themselves Boku. Many Japanese male teenagers call themselves Boku, or they switch to Ode at some point when they feel ready. Many Japanese men in their 20s or even 30s call themselves Boku. For example, the protagonists of most first-person Haruki Murakami short stories or novels. Sometimes you know a guy through reputation alone, and you assume him for an adult Boku. And then it turns out he uses Oida. Many young Bokus
I wish I was an
transition
adult
from
Boku.
Oida or Oda at a point they do not necessarily remember. Who gave them the Oida in the first place? Thus, the pronoun Boku ties itself to Japanese boy youth inseparably across generations and centuries. And across that ocean of time, it has earned another distinctor. More than any first-person pronoun by a catastrophic margin, adults use Boku as a second-person pronoun when sincerely addressing a boy they firsthand know to use Boku. To complicate the translator's job further, the main character of Boku no Natsuyasumi literally has the name Boku. We learn late in the story he has the full name Boku Kubota, which I find incredibly hilarious. Though nonetheless, here we see Boku crossing the etymological blood-brain barrier between first, second, and third person. If linguistics happened in a theater, this blend of first, second, and third person breaks too precious a fourth wall to ignore. In other words, we could just as well call this game Boku's Summer Break. Though now this asks us to wonder, given the personal nature of this story, shouldn't we write the title in first person? Then again, how many game titles use first person? I Am Setsuna? Okay, that's one. The character Alan Wake narrates the game Alan Wake in first person. The Remedy called the game Alan Wake, not It's a Me, Alan Wake. Sony Santa Monica made God of War, not How I Became the God of War. Looking at it, Boku's Summer Break does not exactly inspire the busting of blocks. Even Resident Evil, an admittedly horrible name for even a cleaning product, sounds more like the title of a million-selling piece of entertainment software.
Resident Evil.
So let's turn to the game's subtitle. Boku no Natsuyasumi's Japanese box art presents the full title as half Japanese, half English. Seeing as Boku no Natsuyasumi released in the year 2000, 20th century implies to the Japanese consumer that the game explores the prior century. It plainly states that Boku's Natsuyasumi looks backward. The consumer unacquainted with the deeper pages of the marketing pitch needs this subtitle to understand the game's nostalgia mission. So let's try to incorporate this into our English title as well. I've known and even managed to speak a word to more than one entertainment executive in my time so far on Earth, so I can imagine the facial expression the word Boku right up at the top of a product package would inspire. Let's shave this down. Let's call him a boy. Let's leave the on there to signal that this game aspires to the descriptor of literature. Let's call our game A Boyhood Summer 1975. Maybe our imaginary executive circa Y2K says, I didn't spend my boyhood summer 1975 in rural Japan. So we rename our game A Japanese Boy Spends Summer Break at His Aunt and Uncle's House in 1975. We run the requisite focus tests. We put this title on a box of Frosted Flakes and ask 12 angry people to eat 2 bowls each, see if they notice the name, and we wind up with an office in flames. The people upstairs say, fix it, now. And we call the game I Am Boku, and the critics in unison yell,
Where's the gun?
Maybe 10 years later, we'll find a job at a tech company and become a 10 millionaire, though today, flat out sucks. If Atlas had released the game in the year 2000, they'd probably just have called it Boku. Then again, Konami did in fact release a game called As Your Dreams in the United States, so maybe I'm talking out of my hat here. For the purpose of this review, I've elected to refer to the game the way Japanese film distributors would market a non-Japanese film, by simply using its full foreign language title and expecting the audience to fend for themselves. So I will call the game Boku no Natsuyasumi for the rest of this review. I will not shorten it to the Japanese colloquial abbreviation of Bokunatsu, so as to avoid less attuned ears as confusing it for Kokonotsu, the Japanese word for 9 objects.
Boku-chan, how old are you?
Kokonatsu, the Japanese word for coconut. Today I find every defeatist conspiracy theory of the obscure game preferers I spectated long ago, at least credible in explaining why Boku no Natsuyasumi has remained imprisoned within the Japanese language for so long. It didn't have any action in it. It was set in a hyper-specific part of Japan at a hyper-specific point in history. Its fixed camera angles and Resident Evil-style asteroidsian vehicular-like rotational direction controls represented more or less a retro sensibility at a point in history obsessed with the free-roaming 3D analog stickism of a Zelda 64 or Mario 64. Boku no Natsuyasumi's game design even stooped so retro as to eschew implementation of either of the Sony DualShock's 2 analog sticks, instead opting to pepper its experience with occasional dainty rumbles. Yet none of those reasons sticks out as credibly as the game's release timing relative to the launch of the PlayStation 2. Boku no Natsuyasumi came out after the PlayStation 2 had released in Japan and before the PlayStation 2 had released in the West. Games took a long time to translate back then. Sony needed to slingshot past their success with the PlayStation 1. They couldn't stick around putting out PlayStation 1 games after the PlayStation 2 was already out, the way they put out PlayStation 4 games even with the theoretical semi-availability of the PlayStation 5 today. They needed to press forward into the second generation of their video game hardware business if they ever wanted to accomplish their dream of PlayStation replacing Nintendo as parents everywhere's go-to synonym for video game. Only games like Final Fantasy IX, which released in the United States 2 weeks after the PlayStation 2 console, had that era's game liker community's permission to represent old hardware. Boku no Natsuyasumi would have only stood a chance if it had released at most a month or 2 months after the Japanese version, which in those days wouldn't even have happened if Boku no Natsuyasumi had had the words Final Fantasy in its title. Back then, I saw no one touch upon what I had perceived as the most pernicious localization difficulty, the text boxes. Vertical in orientation, these text boxes intend to evoke the typography and layout of Japanese novels. With lovely elegance, they complement the already Yasujiro Ozu-esque, stately static 4:3 camera compositions, reminding the player at times of the luxuriously typographed paper obi sleeves on the sides of vintage Japanese LPs. Though really, how the heck do you English this up? I really just don't know. You definitely can't just orient the English vertically. Nobody wants to read English vertically. You'd get jeered out of graphic design school for literal clowns if you oriented a complete English sentence split across more than one line vertically. You could hack it and put the text boxes along the bottom, though you'd violate the exacting compositions that way. Did you know some fans sit translating this game as we speak? I do not envy them. I really want to know how they reconcile this glaring traffic jam of a situation. Of course, you can turn the subtitles off. Boku no Natsuyasumi celebrates this feature, letting the listener luxuriate in the luxury of full voice acting. Despite harkening back to the earlier days of the PlayStation 1 as regards its camera angles and background rendering, Boku no Natsuyasumi features full voice acting. Though if you turn the text boxes off, that'd mean the English-only audience won't understand the story. And this game begs the viewer to pay attention to the story. If you dubbed it into English, would that not make it less Japanese? And if it loses its Japaneseness, wherein lurks its appeal? Personally, if I'd had to work on localizing Boku no Natsuyasumi in the year 2000, I'd have replaced the excellently beautiful Japanese text boxes with plain subtitles, maybe in a highly visible yellow with thick black outer stroke a la Criterion Collection black and white film releases of that era. Though that sounds to me like a
Well, teeth are a little bit more
lot of extra
yellow.
work, and probably nobody involved in boating over Japanese video games to the Western world with the advent of a PlayStation 2 on the horizon wanted to work so hard for a PlayStation 1 game that didn't even have any guns in it. Personally, as a critic of one medium and as an avid appreciator of several others, I do not consider it mysterious in any way whatsoever that Boku no Natsuyasumi never received an official English language release.
There we go.
Many
And then we
reasons
just
for remaining
use-
in Japan strike me as perfectly plain and obvious as vanilla. green tea, or rice. I only make any kind of big deal at
How
all
the hell
about
are you this good?
Pronunciaci's
I've always wanted to learn how to draw, but I am
hundreds of
retarded.
PlayStation games
Good
with
news for you.
intriguing
I'm also
concepts and
retarded.
beautiful execution
The
remain
difference
trapped
between you and me
forever.
is that I
The
probably
tragedy that occurs to
spent
me
a
today
lot of
with
time doing
Goku
this.
Natsuyasumi's
Um,
ultimate destiny represents a
I don't know, there's a
perfect
bunch of different ways to
intersection
start
of the
depending on what you
reasons
want.
all these other games
My first guess
At the end
is
of
without
the day,
knowing what you
the
want,
effort of
just pick up some art
translating any
fundamentals,
individual one of these games represented
go
such
towards
a
your house,
small
grab
yet
items that you think are interesting,
percentage of the
put them in
human
the
powers
put them in a
necessary to
little like
make
table,
one of
and
these
start
games in the first
trying
place,
to
then you
recreate
figured
what you see in front
someone
of
who
you.
wears
That's
a
the
suit
first
every
step.
day might have
Doesn't
pulled
matter
the
where you want to
trigger
end up
every
with art.
single
If you want to
time
draw
on
anime, if you want to paint
policy,
realistically what you want,
cutting your
art fundamentals is always
before you even get
mwah.
tested.
They're always
6 years
good.
after the
But thank
initial
you.
release
I
of
appreciate it.
Boku no
You're
Natsuyasu,
making me
Boku
blush.
no Natsuyasu
Side rap on DGG chat.
Boku no
Thank you very
Natsuyasu
much.
Because one guy in my office in Tokyo, circa age
Gotcha.
46,
Like basic 3D
told
shapes
me
to
to
recreate
make
and stuff. Yeah, I'd say
another
so.
guy in that same office,
There's a
circa
lot of
age
different ways that you
46,
can learn. Some people say to start with what inspires you.
This
So a lot
time
of
I
people
worked
say like,
to
oh, start with
every day
anime
to my
if
job
you're
in
inspired by
offices
that.
of
And that can work. I started with anime.
Akasaka
I
told
didn't
me.
start
Our
with
office
any of the
window
things
looked
that I'm
right out
recommending
over
you.
Tokyo Highway
Um,
246.
I'm recommending you
You
things
can
that I
see
feel like
how
are
they
more
were right
useful,
there in
but
Gran Turismo
lots of
track
people
of the
start
same name.
with
I
lots of
worked a
different
job
ways.
so junior,
So,
so menial, and
you know
so
what? I'd
insubstantial
correct that.
that I know a
Start with
not small
whatever
portion
is
of the
fun
market
and makes you want to
would
keep
turn
drawing. Because at a
toward
certain
the
point, you're going to be
most
frustrated that you can't
plainly of
paint or
the
draw what you want to.
So I will not
So
delve
then
too
you're going to
deeply
want to
into
pick up
any
art
specifics.
fundamentals at that point.
Not
So,
now,
but do whatever's most
not
fun,
ever.
most
I
importantly.
guarantee it. Suffice it to say, I loved my stupid job.
There's 100 different ways to do it, and the way that I'm recommending is not how I learned. I'm a
relished the
big fat
opportunity to
hypocrite.
work with weird
and I'm
old
okay with
dudes
that.
who worked elsewhere in other divisions at Sony, right up until the instant Sony Computer Entertainment blinked into existence.
Oh, why is
Several of
this
these men
better?
Struck me as the truest of
Why is
alpha
this one better
PlayStation
here?
fanboys. They had loved the brand since before the public had even.
I'm adding
heard
all
it.
this
They
rendering, and
loved
I
it
feel
since
like
the
it's just
concept
making
phase.
it worse.
Some of
I
them
feel
had
like the
loved
mouth
PlayStation
was
so much as
less
an idea
pronounced,
that they had moved over
and
from
that makes it better.
Sony's
I think
music
the mouth
division,
shape
Sony
is
Music,
bad, and
as
I
soon
probably
as
need
they
to fix
saw
it.
an opportunity. So nobody posting PlayStation better under any Xbox tweet
Thanks.
today can
I love fantasy art and
compete with
D&D
the
stuff.
fervent
Plus, I want to
virility
draw
of
my own
these men,
GF.
these
But you need to not be
13-year
lazy.
veterans.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very lazy when it comes to stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I want to learn to do. I've started some 3D modeling in Blender, and I have not picked it up. All of it because I'm lazy as fuck. What helps me with art is the fact that I want to make money and pay bills with this, and I already sunk way too, like I put in way too much student debt for me not to do it, and it's all I want to do. So for me, it's kind of like being up against the wall, so I will draw. And plus, I love it. I don't hate it. Like, I love doing this. If I can manage to make money doing this, like, I make just enough to pay some bills, but if I can pay enough to, like, get a studio job or feel comfortable, then that's, like, the dream. So it's easy for me because I'm up against the wall, but when you have to find the willpower to do it, like, you work, like, God knows how many hours shift, right? You come home, you can either play fucking video games or you can study. Fuck, dude. I don't blame anybody that doesn't want to pick up art. It has to be, like, fun. There has to be, like, a reason for you to go over to it and choose it over. You're really good at it. I don't want to say talented because I might dismiss the amount of effort that you... I believe in talent. I know what you're saying, and it's been a huge discussion that I've had with a lot of friends. I believe in talent. I believe, be it because of, I don't know, biological factors or nature or nurture, I feel like some people have better aptitude to understand certain concepts with ease. I get surprised, and I might sound smug, I get surprised when I meet people. I get surprised when I meet people that can't fathom how to put objects in, like, 3D space on a blank sheet of paper, like how to represent 3D space, perspective and stuff. But that's because I feel like I have an aptitude for seeing that. I don't know if it came from being born, or from growing up drawing art all these years. It could be both, right? But I understand what you're saying. I do feel like talent is a real thing. I did put a lot of work, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that I had an aptitude for art, because I'm very stupid at everything else. Everything else, I'm a huge dunce cap, right? But when it comes to art, there are certain things that certain people don't understand, and I wish I could be a better teacher and explain to them, but it just makes sense to me for some reason, which means I grasp it better somehow. I don't know how, but I do, right? So yeah, I'm a talent believer. Lots of people are like, don't say talent because I worked really hard. And I get where they're coming from too, but I'm a talent believer. That face when draw it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, brother. I was born doing art. I think I had a lot of luck being in factors that enable, like, my parents always been extremely rewarding with, like, rewarding me for, like, doing art stuff. They've always made sure that I felt, like, very, I don't know what you call it, seen, right? And now I'm doing some psychoanalyzing, but I think when I was young, I think every young kid wants, like, attention, and every young kid wants to be seen and acknowledge it. And I feel like it was such an easy route because I had an aptitude for it. So it kind of kept rolling into each other, right? So I feel like I had all the right conditions to get good at it. Maybe it was a nurture thing. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's difficult when you don't have any of those things, like, set up. Oh, is Darius IRL streaming? I'm not turning this off. Not until dinner's ready, because, what are you trying to make? Wait, what? What are you trying to do making a living of this, except for commission stuff? What are you trying to do to make... Oh, so the plan is I actually went to school for animation, and I love animation more than I love illustration. Animation is fucking hard. So what I'm doing right now is I'm working to pay bills, but I have a demo reel of animation. I'll link it in the chat. I have an animation demo reel, and what I want to do is I'm very good at making rough animation, but you can't get a job of just doing rough animation unless you're very fucking good at what you do. And unless you've been in the industry for a while. I have not been in the industry for a while. I have not been in the industry at all. I went to school. So the plan is to make commissions, to pay bills. God, could my computer go any slower? I'm glad somebody else can see how bad my internet is. Dude, that's not even the right account. Big poopy. You just stopped that YouTube video for no fucking reason. It's gonna be Wolfgang Card Animations. There we go. There we go. Just link that in chat. There you go. But no, what I'm trying to do is I want studio work. Freelance is great. And I bet you it's a lot of money if you have management skills, if you have marketing skills, if you have fundamental skills that make you good at seeking out clients, staying on top of your stuff. I am a very good artist, but I'm a gun. You point and you shoot. I'm your gun. I need somebody to point me and to shoot me. You put up work on my desk in the morning, I'm going to be doing it, and I'm going to be doing a good job at it. But right now, I can't afford that, so regardless of how bad I am at managerial skills, I'm going for commission work, for freelance stuff, which I'm not good at, but we got to make money somehow, right? We got to pay bills somehow.
Still 45 degrees studying the ceiling, he said,
City of Quartz asked me who? The guy asked me who. The guy I linked. Link ask. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, you freak? Do you ever notice a boom in commission requests when a new anime drops or a big game? If I was a smart artist, I would, but I don't. I'll tell you what's being good at art is actually not as important, in my opinion, being freelance, is being able to network and knowing how to capitalize on your art. I know how to make my art, but I don't know how to capitalize on my art. For example, this is a character from Baldur's Gate 3. Sure would have been nice to have this image, like, done or to start working on it when Baldur's Gate first released. That would have been, like, a huge, because the Twitter algorithm and any social media algorithm is just pumping out anything to do with Baldur's Gate because it's, you know, trending and shit like that. But I did not do that. And that's the journey with being an artist. It was a giant drop, yeah. I think it's still popular enough that anybody who sees this on their social media would probably give it like a retweet. But at this point, it's like scraping for stuff. You know what is going to come out soon? There's going to be a Princess Peach game that's coming out. Nintendo's huge, lots of people. So I started making a drawing for Peach. on that game, Peach has like a Kung Fu Peach. There's like a Sword Fighter Peach, like a. So I started sketching that out, and hopefully I have until the release of that game. That whole time from now until that game's released, it's going to be anticipation building up. So it's better to get on that. But I'm streaming on DGG, and I know lots of people on DGG like Baldur's Gate, and this is my first kick stream, so I figured I should paint the Baldur's Gate drawing that I wanted to do, so that people on DGG is like, oh my god, is that Karlach from legendary game Baldur's Gate? And then they'll tune in. That's the strat. But no, do I notice it? No. If I was bigger, I bet you I would notice. If I was a lot bigger. But it's the road. You got to get there. Speaking of, if you like what you see, if you like what you see, follow me on my socials, which I don't have linked on my fucking... How, bro. Okay. You want to hear something bad about freelance? There you go. I don't have any of my social medias linked on the kick stream. I'll link it here. And on DGG chat, I wonder, I'll just drop it. People are gonna hit me with who's. I don't give a fuck. Stay fucking mad. Eat my fucking dick. There you go. If they hit me with who's, I'll just blow myself up. You said that you enjoyed animation more than illustration, but are there certain things you enjoy drawing more than others? Human body. The human body. Not even making like a clever way of saying like I like drawing porn. It's not that. It's I love the human body and movement. I love action scenes, even though I am not the best at them. I am getting better. I love character animation. I love acting. Like very subtle animation. Like I love picking dialogue from movies, and I adore animating them. But animation is a lot of work, and if you have to pay bills, if you have to pay rent, I don't know how somebody can afford to... I don't know, since I'm freelance, all my time is going to making illustrations, which might be a bad use of my time, but it gets me some bills paid, so that's what I do. But I love the human body, I love acting, more than anything in the world. I love character animation, that's what I want to go for. I want characters moving, I want characters talking, I want characters yelling, I want characters screaming, that's what I want, that's what I adore. I love being on stream and screaming at Destiny too when he has bad takes. I like that. That's a lot of fun. There you go. Uh-oh. Imagine living in Brazil and hating the U.S. Wrong side of history. That's what I'm saying. Are there any Western studios that you love to eat? Yes. You named one right there. Castlevania Bros. Powerhouse Studios. That's a dream studio for me to have. Titmouse is really good because they have an LA studio, which is where all the other studios at. But Powerhouse is where I want to be. There's also a studio called The Line. They make incredible work, mostly commercial work. They released their first short film just a couple days ago. I haven't seen it yet. But, so Powerhouse are the guys that make Castlevania. I would love to be there. Titmouse is another studio that I'd love to be there. The Line mostly does commercial work. They do a lot of commercial work, like a lot. But their commercial work is really cool. I'll link it in DGG chat. I don't know if you've seen their Solar Punk thing. It's an advertisement for fucking The Line Solar Punk. I swear, it's like an ad for orange juice. Dear Alice, that has to be the one. I don't even know if it's orange juice, but I'm pretty sure it is. Here, we'll play it. We'll play it on stream so you guys can see it. I'm sorry, Tim Rogers. I love you, but here, I'll link it in. It's like a solar punk thing. Like, this is incredible commercial work. This is beautiful. Mind you, I can only do character animation. I can paint backgrounds and stuff like that, but that's not what I do.
Dear
but like,
Alice,
look at this.
This place is yours now. It's a handful, but nothing worth doing is easy.
Wait, I don't know if you guys can see.
The land is more
If I
than
do
just
this,
dirt. If you look after
will
it,
it switch?
it will feed you.
That's the
forever.
wrong one, bro. Never mind.
You're
Hold
a
on.
smart one. I know
we
you'll
can
be
see it.
okay. Come
Fuck
rain
me,
or
bro.
shine.
There it is. Okay, there we go. That's the one.
And remember, business is
Sorry.
only as good as its people. So treat them well.
Look at that.
Our job is to plant seeds so our grandkids get to enjoy the fruit.
God damn, look at that.
So, eat well, Alice, and keep planting those seeds. Because how we eat today feeds tomorrow.
Bro, this is a commercial for like, what, orange juice? I can't even tell what the fuck is. I'm pretty sure it's like orange juice. How insane is that? That's what I would love to do. That's my passion. That's what I adore. Are you optimistic about the future of 2D Western animation, especially with the...
Even when I wasn't thinking about it, there were things that bothered me about it.
Oh, there you go. Are you optimistic about the future of Western 2D animation? Yes! Yes, that's a very short answer. Yes, I am for a couple of reasons. So, AI was a concern for a little bit. But incredibly enough, the more we're doing animation movies like Spider-Verse, which has been huge for stuff, for animation and industry, I feel like the more people are finding out that art direction is very important. Right now, TV animation is kind of having a crisis because no new shows will get greenlit unless they are some kind of like reboot or continuation. But that's an executive problem. That's like execs that are not greenlighting new things. And of course, it's like a risk to make like new shows. So of course they're not going to. But I do have faith in... I do have faith in people as much as I hate it, because I do not like it. I don't like the art style, I don't like the story, I don't like the writing. But fucking, what is it? It's cringe. Vizzy Pops. I don't know. It's like a cartoon show online with like a werewolf girl, Hell of a Boss, and Hotel Hell. I don't know what the fuck it's called. But those guys, if you take a look at that, they didn't go through usual means to create their production and their show. They did it entirely online through themselves. So it's very fucking hard to do. It takes a lot of work and dedication, but we're at an age where people can actually get their shows greenlit. And like, they don't even need to be greenlit. You just post them online. If they have enough of a traction, you can maybe open up like a studio, or you can even like do work based off of their online stuff. So I am optimistic. I don't feel like we're at a spot yet where online digital content is paying bills and it's paying good enough. Well, not even that. There's like, because for a while U.S. animation on TV was just like Family Guy. Yeah, it's still a little bit. Like, you look at Western animations and what do you have? Like, the Castlevania guys helped with that. Spencer Wan also did, like, some cool fucking work. But if you're looking at American animation, you still have your Rick and Mortys. You still have your Big Mouths. You still have your... What do you have? Like, Netflix DP department. What's that comedian that is red hair, angry, and yells? D is for F is for family. F is for family. Like, you still have your shows like that, but more action-oriented shows from the West are kind of happening, right? You have shows like Ash and Stars. I'm not sure. You have Wonder Over Yonder. She-Ra, Princess of Power. You have... What the fuck else you have? You have Castlevania. Fuck, I know there's more. Steven Universe kinda counts. It's for kids mostly, but it's still entering that like teenage phase. Is Love, Death, and Robots 2D animation maybe that? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing is that the production with Love, Death, and Robots, it's kind of interesting because it's not your usual production from what I understand. Like, the whole thing is an anthology, and the whole point is to like call different animation studios and different like individual artists to be able to make specials, right? So it's not your usual TV production of an IP the same way She-Ra is and stuff like that. Plus, I'm pretty sure they get Japanese studios to do stuff like that. You know, it's a similar thing? Star Wars Visions. Star Wars Visions will get like Trigger to make like an animated short for their fucking show and stuff. but those productions are kind of like more uncommon. What I'm excited for the future of animation is that actually no, that plays into it, because if you look at it, I don't know if you're a One Piece fan, but One Piece anime that was released, that is published, produced an anime that's produced by Toei Animation, a company that is well fucking known in my opinion for cutting corners until recently, have started reaching out and hiring freelance incredible animators off of fucking social media, like famous Twitter animators, to animate on One Piece. And Boruto does the same. I am DGen One Piece fans. Those Chinese animators, yeah, there's Western animators, there's Chinese animators, there's Spanish animators, but I am excited for the future because I feel like there is opportunity there. I don't feel like AI is gonna rip unless AI gets really good at art direction, at being like an art director, and I feel like people say that it will, and it might, but I don't feel like that's gonna happen anytime soon, right? AI seems to get smarter exponentially. I don't know that much about AI, but I doubt AI is going to get smart enough to full-on do art direction. And so long as AI can't do that, I feel like there's going to be a reliance more and more on artists, the same way that it used to be. Why am I saying used to be? Like, it has always been. So I am optimistic, because it feels like there's more and more opportunities. TV animation is going down a gutter right now, but that's a problem that hopefully gets addressed and solved. But like I said, there's opportunity for people online. There is plenty of space for people, and all that needs to happen is people like me taking a risk and doing stuff online. I don't want to take a risk right now because I want to pay my bills. So I'll keep drawing fan art until I can get hired by a studio and then work at a studio, because that is... job security is awesome, and I would love that. Freelance is scary, man. Sometimes when you can't find the fucking people willing to commission you at the end of the month, and you got like cell phone bills and stuff like that, that's fucking terrifying. So I think there's growing demand for adult animation, not only just Big Mouths. Yeah, like adult drama animations. It's kind of wild because you have like these action shows like Castlevania. You have these action shows like what did Gendy do? He did like Primal. You have action, and adult animation is like action, but there's growing room for drama, right? Look at fucking, I know it's an adaptation, but look at Invincible, right? That's what, an Amazon Prime production. They are adapting the comic book. Invincible is like hella drama. It has action, and very good action, by the way, but it's like drama. And I feel like there is room for more plain old... And mind you, I understand the critique of like, hey, if you're in a medium animation, do something incredible. Don't just do... I mean, rewatch those episodes, right? Like, how much action is actually, like, happening? Jeez, voice crack at fucking 27. But how much action is actually happening on an episode of, like, Invincible, right? Jesus. Compared to Primal or something like that. Primal is like constant action with some self-reflective moments, but in Invincible you have episodes that are almost like characters planning to do action, learning. What's that episode where you have the rock guy and he meets it with Invincible and he's showing him like, hey, by the way, like, I'm a bad guy, but I'm just trying to help out here, and if soups like you guys weren't fucking around so much, we'd probably be able to have like a better conditions for life. So if you help me take down this criminal AI bot guy, probably things will get better. How much of that episode was like actually action? It was heavy near the end, and I think it's a second part of that rolls into the second episode, like the fight, I think. But half of that episode is just drama. The fucking where Mark goes to Mars to fight the Sequids. How much action is really in that episode? Like, you have some getaway scenes where like Mark is running away from them, but most of that episode is like drama between, what is it, Omni-Man and Mark's mom, and Mark dealing with shenanigans in Mars, right? So like that I would say that it leans more into the drama part. It can be action heavy, but it's still like a pretty hefty drama. And I feel like there is like a growth for drama in animation coming from like a Western market, and I'm excited for that too. But again, I feel like there's a sweet spot that it's being hit very well right now. And it is with like Invincible, and it is with Castlevania, which is, look at how many of that episodes is interpersonal conflict between characters that are being resolved through like dialogue, right? or even expanded upon through dialogue. And yeah, look at the demand for these, right? It's becoming a larger demand, and these are dramas, but they're action-heavy dramas, is what I would say. Yeah, I would call them action-heavy dramas more so than anything. Maybe not Castlevania. Maybe Castlevania is an action show that is... It doesn't matter. Like, I won't get into the conversations of genres and categories, but it's cool. It's headed in a cool place. Because even, like, I watch One Piece, right? Like, I'm rewatching One Piece and I'm trying to get my girlfriend into it. Even Critical Role. I did not watch the Critical Role show because I hate Critical Role. Fuck, that's such a harsh thing to say. It's not bad. Critical Role is not bad. It's great. Everybody loves it. There's a reason why it's good and why it's acclaimed. But I don't feel like I want to tune into a show to watch a bunch of professional actors do like a crying scene at the table for characters that... Like, it feels like if I want to watch my buddies have fun at the table, Koibu is the DM in my heart. I'd probably agree. I enjoyed Steven's D&D sessions, even though I wish the players roleplayed a little bit more, okay? But it's so easy for me to say this, not participating while there's thousands of viewers and while there's like streaming going on. So it's easy to look at the stream and be like, react harder, right? Roleplay harder. But you know, a show that I love, Sounds Like Crows. It's a podcast and it's a dramatic retelling. So what they do is they play their campaign, and then once they finish an episode, they take the cast again and they go over dramatic points of the episode, and they're like, I need you to redo this line. So it's a good meeting between like, oh, this is like happening like live, and a good spot between help me make like a dramatic reading of like this scene. Let me go over this scene. Let me recast. Let me do some audio editing. I like that format quite a bit. And I don't see like a lot of shows doing that, but I fucking love that stuff. I love it. But yeah, D&D is not my cup of tea. Role-playing games are awesome. I'm sick of fantasy and dragons. I like a lot. Call of Cthulhu seems super interesting. Deadlands, which is what I play, is super awesome. Even what D&D in space? What's that called? Is it fuck, I don't remember what it's called. But even Wizards of the Coast have like a setting that's like space D&D. Even that seems more exciting than D&D for me. But role-playing games are awesome, and they're great. Oh yeah, we're talking about the Critical Role show. I don't like Critical Role, so I didn't watch that show. But that seems like it had a good production value, right? It's probably easy to get all of those people who already do voice work in tons of like anime and productions to come in and voice their like characters and whatnot. So that, I'm sure it's fantastic. I have not seen it, and I'm sure it's adult. I'm sure it's heartfelt, and I'm sure it's dramatic. I'm positive of it. I've seen some scenes from animators on Twitter being shared. There's one where the big Grog guy or whatever he's called, he's getting like beaten half to death or something like that by like people of his clan. I don't even know. And that seemed pretty dramatic, right? Kind of weird that it's a character called Grog. Not saying the show was good, just that I think it performed well. I think so too. I did not look at the numbers, and in fact, it's kind of wrong to do this. You probably shouldn't do it, but most of what I gauge as successes is just based off of reaction and the reception in social media platforms, which isn't enough to kind of gauge if something is really being successful. But that's how I do it. You probably shouldn't, though. You should probably look at numbers. I have no idea. But I would assume that it performed well just based off the reception. There we go. Put it there. But yeah, no, I would love to go into having like work at my desk consistently. And I'm also willing to go into illustration. I just want somebody to find work for me. Work at a studio where they throw shit at my desk. I know agents can do that too, but I have some people in my life who are professional artists, and they've been nothing but fucked by agents. Like agents that take like a cut of their work, but it really doesn't feel like they're chasing down like work for them. And I don't want to deal with that. Or at least I would want somebody who I trust to be my agent. I would hella, if a good agent could find my work and like put it out there and like really find me work, I would be okay with them taking like 30%. I do not care. I just want somebody with the skill set of reaching out, knowing what they're... Uh-oh. I might have to end stream soon. Let's see. that's dinner time. Ready for the promo blitz? Squid Game Season 2? Oh, is there art to be made of? I mean, there probably is. Yeah, I could probably make some Squid Game art. I don't like doing art for live action shows. Just because, but I mean, that's cope. I should do it. Yeah, I should do it. I am not ready for it. I only found out now because you told me about it. But now, yeah, it's probably like a good idea to do it. Fuck, why not? It's gonna get popular, right? No reason why not to do it. It's like sitting on clicks. I will probably have to go soon. When I mean soon, I mean like ASAP. Because I have family over and they want to have dinner. And they've been upstairs and I've been like a social freak, staying down here doing my drawing and streaming on Kick. Thanks for streaming. Yeah, of course. I plan on streaming more. And I think the audience here has been primarily for DGG. If you like the stream, hit that follow button. Maybe not the share. I don't know if there's a share button. But I like streaming on Kick. I don't know if there was anybody on YouTube. I probably should have paid attention to that. Let's see. Settings. Is there anybody on YouTube? No, nobody on YouTube. Okay, that's good because I didn't pay attention to them at all. But yeah. Make sure to give a follow, and I'm going to try and stream again. Put me up on those DGGM bets, okay? If you like my stuff, I want to see my name there. It's very exciting. I wonder if there's a place where I can update today's work and show it to DGG so they can see where it is, how it's looking. But yeah, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I love you guys. I'll be back soon. You guys have a good night. Where is the... Isn't there supposed to be like a... Well, that doesn't matter. All right. Well, much love. Camera's up there. Love, guys. How do I end this? Oh, my socials. Follow me on my socials. Follow me on Twitter. The Twitter is... The link for my Twitter is on the Kick chat. It's on the Kick chat. All right, guys. Much love. I'll be back. If not tonight, then maybe tomorrow, probably. But I'll try and make this a regular habit. Bye-bye.